close the doors in your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt, all demonic thought, all jealousy, all envy, all strife, all complaining, all mumbling, all grumbling. Anything in the center of your mind, in the zarah, the seeds that's been scattered in your mind throughout your life from birth to present, within your inner being, within your inner thoughts, within your inner being. And bring all those things under the feet of Yahushua Mashiach, under the knowledge of the one who sits in the highest Shamayim, above the Shabai Shamayim, above the 7 heavens, above the 13 Shamayim, who sits above all gods and all Allahims, and governs all people as the sand of the sea. Yahuwah Allahim. So this Yom, we acknowledge him, even on this 13th Yom, we acknowledge him as the one who made all things, the one who gives life and understanding to all creatures of the earth, the one who sends the rain and snow, the spring rain to allow the trees and the actual ground, everything to bud again. The one who gives life and understanding to our inner being and washes us clean and white, even as Yahushua Mashiach shall present you with a white robe if you walk in obedience to his steps, to his ways and his thoughts and his commandments and the words that he spoke by the Ruach HaKadosh, by the Ruach, and giving your life totally to him and not to your own self and your own will and your own thoughts. So as we move forward in kindness, ahab, that's love, joy, simcha, patience, meekness, temperance, gentleness, amuna, self-control, and we will no wise within ourselves allow our mind and our thoughts to be partial in judgment within our inner being and our inner thoughts. If we're partial in judgment within ourselves, then one won't be purified enough that Yahuwah will receive your offering. So last time we spoke about heavy burdens. We talked about it can't be number or measure, or madad or safar. We talked about daweh, how the food was loathsome to Iyub and how it was daweh to him. He cast it away. It was a loathsome type of lakam because of all the heavy burdens he had. He couldn't eat it or consume it. Right? We spoke about even the very lamb, the sah that was supposed to be taken on the 10th day. We spoke about how that lamb, that actual sah, did not take away their sin, but it brought them out of a place. Knowing that the one who was going to take away their sin was Yahushua Mashiach. And we ought to present ourselves as a living sacrifice and not give judgment to others if they don't esteem. Put that day like you do, or to eat what you do. But to look at ourselves within, go from our outer man and our inner man, and judge within. So we picked up, this is Apocalypse of Abraham. I'll read this again. Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Chapter 9, Verse 1. Then a voice came speaking to me twice, right? Speaking to you twice, like Daweh means twice, right? Or even when Yahushua cried out twice, or even the man who's on a long journey during Pesach, he goes in the 2nd month, right? Even as Yahushua cried out twice, but even as he appeared to, Shalama, he talked to him twice. But Shalama didn't answer Yahuwah, but Abraham did. He said, Abraham, Abraham. And I said, here I am, right? And he said, behold, it is I, fear not, for I am before the world and mighty, the Elohim who created previously. Before the light or of the age, I am the protector for you. I am your helper. Go get me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old she-goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a pigeon, and make a pure sacrifice, right? He's telling you to make a pure sacrifice. But we look at ourselves as that sacrifice. He said, present your bodies a living sacrifice, Qhdsh and acceptable to Yahuwah, as a sweet-smelling savor. And it says, and in this sacrifice I will place the ages. He said, I'm going to place the aeons on you. And I will announce to you, It says, guarded things, and you will see great things which you have not seen. So you say, how do you understand all this? How is a person getting this information? It's because you're presenting your body a living sacrifice, and it's acceptable to Yahuwah. If it's not, he won't give you anything, right? And it says, because you desired to search for me. That's why Yahushua said, search the scriptures, and then you think you have eternal life. It's testifying about me. Right? And I called you my beloved, just like Dawood. Dawood's name means beloved, right? We see that in Song of Solomon. But for 40 days abstain from every kind of food cooked by fire, and from drinking of wine, and from anointing yourself with oil. Wow. Then you shall set out for me the sacrifice which I have commanded you, in the place which I will show you. Right? So then he says, abstain. You gotta do all these. Notice all these steps he gave, like instructions. And then he tells them to do these specific instructions, and then I will do something for you. And that's the same thing when we follow instructions, then he will do something for us. And it says, of wine and anointing yourself with oil, and then you shall set out for me the sacrifice which I have commanded you in the place which I will show you on a high mountain. Right? So then you gotta follow more instructions on a high mountain. And I will show you the things which were made by the ages, and by my debar, my word, and affirmed, created, and renewed. People say, how do you get renewed in your mind? How do you get renewed? Be transformed by the renewing your mind. How do you get that? You got to go through a transformation process. You get clues and things that you see throughout Torah, throughout writings. You can see clues on what you have to do. And it says right here, and I will announce to you in them what will come upon those who have done evil and just things in the race of man. So that's evil and good. Right? So Ra and just. Right? So that's how he became a person that he will reveal that to. If a male or female wants that to be revealed to them, he said, like a male, like you want to be like some of these people you read about. Right? He says, verse 1 says, and it came to pass when I heard the voice pronouncing such words to me. So he heard it. So can you hear Yahushua's verse? You know how Yahushua say, it's going to come to pass, they're going to hear the son of Adam, son of Yahuwah voice, and they're going to rise from the grave. He said, when I heard such words, that I looked this way and that. He was looking for where it was coming from. And behold, there was no breath of man, and my ruach was amazed, and my soul fled from me, and I became like a stone. And I fell face down upon the earth, for there was no longer strength in me to stand on the earth. And while I was still face down on the ground, I heard the voice speaking, Go, Leoel. And it says, of the same name, through the meditation of my ineffable name. Consecrate this man for me, and strengthen him against his trembling. Right? He's looking around. And the Malach he sent to me in the likeness of a man came, and he looked, and he took me by my right hand. How he said his yad, his right hand. It's just like you're going to get a lamb with your right hand to present to Yahuwah. He said, consecrate him. Isn't that what you're supposed to do to the lamb on the 10th day? And in the 10th letter, Aydah means open right hand. And you're supposed to grab the lamb, and you're supposed to consecrate it. Isn't that what he's doing? He gave me instructions on what he had to do to present himself a living sacrifice. All at the same time. But you say you won't be able, he said, they don't say that. He said, because you won't understand it, because you're out of the Ruach. Because if you listen to the Ruach, it's different. Verse 5, he said, you know what he said? Took me by my right hand and stood me on my feet. And he said to me, stand up, Abraham, friend of Elohim, who has loved you. Right? And let human trembling not enfold you. So, who should say, you my friend, you do whatsoever I command. He said, can't you pray for 1 hour? You know we come up on the time of much watching. He said, can't you pray with me for 1 hour? He said, you trying to be like me, but you can't even pray for 1 hour. And he says, for lo, I am sent to you to strengthen you and to barak you in the name of Elohim, creator of the Shamaim and creator of heavenly and earthly things, who has loved you. The Father loved the Son, for he do always the things that please him. He said, be bold and hasten to him. I am Leoel. It says Leoel. That's what it says. Is that an I? It's an I. IOL. And I was called so by him who causes those with me on the 7th expanse. Right? So you look at the 7th expanse. He said, how many people have been to the 7th expanse? He said, you know why? He said, you see what he did to consecrate himself to get to the seventh expanse? You can look at Kag Sukkah. That's the seventh feast, Kag. And he says, on the firmament, to shake and empower through the medium of an ineffable name in me. And I am the one who has been charged according to his commandment to restrain the threats of the living creatures of the cherubim against one another. So he jumps in the middle and stops them from fighting, which they do today still. They still fight today. They still fight today. You just can't see them. And I teach those who carry the song through the medium of man's night of the seventh hour. I am appointed to hold the Leviathans. He said, I hold the Leviathans, right? Why he do that? Because through me is subjugated the attack of the menace of every reptile. He said the Adam, Malak Rasha. Reptilians, faced like an adder, as the Dead Sea Scrolls, as Umran wrote. And it says, and I am ordered to loosen the Hades and to destroy those who wonder at the dead. He said, you wondering at the dead? Why you think the Malachite, when the woman came to the grave, he said, why you seek the living among the dead? He's not here. But you know what happened to you in the graveyard? And we talk about that. I am the one who ordered your father's house to be burned with him. He said, when he had them idols in his house. And his brothers died. For he honored the dead. So when you have idols in your household, you honor the dead. And you know what happens when you're in the dead in the graveyard? You know what you do? You set yourself up for demons. And you set yourself up for the destroyer. And we getting ready to come up on the destroyer night. And get what? He said you set your whole house up for the destroyer. And get what it says. And it says right here, I am sent to you to Barak you and the land which he whom you have called the Eternal One has prepared for you. For your sake I have indicated the way of the land. Stand up, Abraham, go boldly and be very joyful and rejoice. And I also rejoice with you for a venerable honor. Right? That's what you lay aside all your weights. You put away all your weights, you die away, right? You cast it away, then you will be joyful. It says, honor me and be prepared for you. Honor me. Honor has been prepared for you by the Eternal One. Go complete the sacrifice of command. Behold, I am assigned to be with you and with the generation. So he assigned, which is predestined to be born from you. And with me, Michael, Barak you forever. Be bold and go. Right, this is chapter 11. That was chapter 10. This is chapter 11. Volume 1. It's just chapter verse 1. It says, and I stood up and saw him who had taken my right hand and set me on my feet. The appearance of his body was like sapphire. Man, he looked like sapphire stone. Matter of fact, and the aspect of his face was like chrysolite, and his hair and his head like snow. And you know what else it said? And the Kedaris was on his head. It was a crown on his head. And it said, it looked that of a rainbow. And the clothing of his garments was purple. And a golden staff was in his right hand. Right? Notice how everything in his right hand. Right? And he said to me, Abraham, and I said, here is your servant. And he said, let my appearance not frighten you, nor my speech trouble your soul. Right? That's what Yahushua was saying to everybody who he was talking to. He said, don't be scared, don't be troubled. You know why he said that? Come with me. That's what he was saying. He said, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in Yahuwah, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If I wouldn't told you, I wouldn't have told you if it wasn't true. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again. And you will be with me. He said, I'm going to bring you to that place. Come with me. And I will go with you, visible unto the sacrifice, but after the sacrifice, invisible forever. Be bold and go. Right? And that's what he's saying to everybody. And that's what he's saying. Right? we'll get into that. But this 2 Kings, Shani Malakim, chapter 4, verse 1 through 25. Yeah, 2 Kings, Shani Malakim 4, 1 through 25. Now the wife of one of the sons of the Nabiim prophets cried to Aydahchay, "Your servant, my husband, is dead. And you know that your servant feared Yahuwah, but the creditor has come to take my 2 children to be his slaves." He's like, I got so much debt, and now I can't even afford to keep my children from being slaves to a cruel person who won't forgive debts. But that's pretty much what she just said. Because the person that's supposed to be forgive debts ain't forgiving debts, and he can ready to take my 2 sons, my 2 children, to be slaves for him. And he said, and Aydahchay said to her, "What shall I do for you?" And she said, "Tell me, what have you in the house?" He's like, "What you got?" And she said, "Your servant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil." He said, "All I got is a jar of oil." Then he said, "Go outside, borrow vessels from all your neighbors, empty vessels, and not too few." So he's saying, go to your neighbors that's supposed to love your neighbors as you love yourself. Then keep that jar of oil and go get some empty ones from them. And guess what he said? He said, "Then go and shut the door behind yourself and your sons and pour into all the vessels." And guess what he says? "And when one is full, set it aside." So she went from him and shut the door behind herself and her sons, and as she poured, they brought the vessels to her. And when the vessels were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another vessel." And he said to her, "There is not another." Then the oil stopped flowing. He said, "Ain't no more." And she came and told the man of Yahuwah, and he said, "Go sell the oil and pay your debts." So he literally, only thing he used were the neighbors. And he told her, he spoke to her instructions. Then he used the people around her who's supposed to love their neighbor as they love themselves, and they gave her all empty jars, and all she did was just follow the instructions. That's all she did. She ain't do nothing special. She just followed the instructions, and she was able to pay off all her debts. And you say, "Why are we debt? Why?" He said, "Why are we in debt?" It's because you didn't follow the instructions. Because he can free you from debts from people who are cruel. And then guess what? All you gotta do is follow the instructions, and you'll be able to pay your debts. Real simple. And you and your sons can live on the rest. And then you have money left over. That's how Yahuwah works. But it only works if you need some help. Right? Because how is she going to get out of the situation? The only person that can get her out of the situation is you. I ain't got enough money to pay these people. And he says, follow the instructions. That's all you got to do. Right? We'll keep going. It said, one day Aydahchay went, so we go into verse 8. And one day Aydahchay went to Shunem, where a wealthy woman lived, who urged him to eat some food. So wherever he passed that way, he would turn in there and eat food. Right? So he had no place to live. That's why you think Yahushua said, foxes have holes, the birds of the air have nests, the son of Adam have nowhere to lay his head. I ain't got nowhere to stay. She left him food for him. And she said to her husband, behold, now, because she got money, I know that this is the Qahalath man of Elohim who is continually passing our way. He's like, he kept coming by. He said, and what did Yahushua say? When you done unto the least of them, my brothers, you done unto me. When did we see you hungry? When did we see you naked? When did we see you didn't clothe you? And you know, matter of fact, he said, you done unto the least of them, you done unto me. Let us make a small room on the roof with walls and put there for him a bed, a table, a chair, and a lamp, so that whenever he comes to us, he can go in there. He's like, he could be right here. He could come in the house and stay with us. But he said, let us make a small room on the roof And whenever he comes, he can stay with us. And this is very significant. Right? How you say? She's showing much hospitality. And she want to make room for him. And verse 11 says, on the day he came there, he turned into the chamber and rested there. And he said to Gehazi, his servant, call this Shunammite. When he had called her, she stood before him. And he said to him, say now to her, see, you have taken all this trouble for us. What it is to be done for you? You did something for me. So what should be done for you? And guess what happens? Would you have a word spoken on your behalf to the king or the commander of the army? He said, would you have a word? You want a word to go to the king or the commander of the army, to the high-ups? And he said, she answered, I dwell among my own people. And he said, what then is to be done for her? Gehazi said, well, she has no son. Say what? Well, she has no son, and her husband is old. And he said, call her. Huh? So her husband is old. She has no son. And he's like, we can give her a child. And amazingly, when Dawid had Michal, and Michal came, and she said those things to David, she didn't have a child to the day of her death. And you ask yourself, what didn't she not do? She didn't follow the instructions. And so she ain't do nothing for nobody. He said, what should be done for you since you did this for me? And guess what happens? And he said, call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the doorway. Huh? She stood in the doorway, and he said, at this season, about this time next year, you shall embrace a son. What do you mean stood in the doorway? Who does this sound like? Abraham. Because remember when the Malachi came, he was standing at the tent door. And he said, stood in the doorway, and she said, at this season, what season do you think this is? I wonder. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the Mimshala, the government, gonna be upon his shoulders. Oh, I wonder what time this season. At this season, about this time next year, you shall embrace a son. Who is that? And what time was he born? Oh, he was born around this time. Abyd. And guess what he said? And she said, no, my master, O man of Yahuwah, do not lie to your servant. Huh? You know what Sarah said? She laughed within herself. He said, don't lie to your servant. Why would she say that? Because her husband old. It's like impossible for her. It's impossible for her to have a son. But the woman conceived. And she bore a son about that time, the following what? Spring. Where are we at now? And amazing, she followed the instructions last time during Pesach and Qahalath, and then guess what happened the next year? She got a son because what she did during Pesach for a man who was just passing by in the roof of her house. And she multiplied. He said, be fruitful and multiply. But the woman conceived, and she bore a son about that time, the following spring. And Yasha said to her, you know, when people say, if he born in springtime, Yahushua born in springtime, how he born in December? How he born in the 10th month? That's not even spring, that's winter solstice. This is literally saying that Yahushua born during the springtime. You know, when the plants start to sprout up and bud again, when the new comes. And Yasha said to her, and he said, as Yasha said to her, so what he spoke came to pass. When she followed the instructions. And she had a good heart. Now, you look at all the other ones he said, why you ain't conceived? Because you got something in your heart. And she was a wealthy woman. But here we go. And when the child had grown, he went out one day to his father among the reapers, and he said to his father, oh, my head, my head. The father said to the servant, carry him to his mother. He's like, I saw my head, my head. And guess what happened? And when he had lifted him and brought him to his mother, the child sat on her lap till noon, and then he died. He said the child died at noon, till noon, and he died. So that he had a child that time that year, and then the child grew, and then the child was saying, my head, and then guess what happened? And then it sat on his lap till noon, and it died. And guess what happened after that? And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of Yahuwah, and shut the door behind him, and went out. Then she called to her husband and said, send me one of the servants and one of the donkeys, that I may quickly go to the man of Yahuwah and come back again. She was like, let me go see him. And you know what happened? And he said, why will you go to him today? He said, what you going to him today for? Number one, it is neither new month or new moon or new month nor Shabbat. He's like, what you going to him for? And you know what she said? She said, all is well. Then she saddled the donkey, and she said to her servant, urge the animal on. Do not slacken the pace for me unless I tell you. So she set out and came to the man of Yahuwah at Mount Carmel. And when the man of Yahuwah saw her coming, he said to Gehazi, his servant, look, there is the Shumanite. Run at once to meet her, and say to her, is it all well with you? And guess what it says? Is all well with your husband? Because he was all. Is all well with the child? So the first thing he's thinking about, your family. Is all well with your family? And she answered, all is well. And when she came to the mountain, to the man of Yahuwah, she caught hold of his feet. She caught hold of his feet. And you know what it said? And Gehazi came to push her away. You know what Koch did when Yahushua came? Isn't that what the disciples did when the woman came and she was crying at his feet? And she anointed his feet. But the man of Yahuwah said, leave her alone. You know what they said to her? When she said, this oil could have been given to the poor. Isn't that what it said to Yahushua? When he was getting ready to die? And get what it says? Let the woman alone, for she is in bitter distress, and Yahuwah has hidden it from me and has not told me. He said, why trouble the woman? You know what it said? And he said to Gehazi, tie up your garment and take my staff in your hand and go. If you meet anyone, do not greet him. And if anyone greets you, do not reply. And lay my staff on the face of the child. He's like, just go take my staff and lay it on the face of the child. He always said. Then the mother of the child said, as Yahuwah lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you. She's like, I'm not leaving you at all. So she arose and followed her. He arose and followed her. And Gehazi went on ahead and laid the staff on the face of the child, but there was no sound or sign of life. Therefore he returned to meet him and told him, the child has not awakened. Right? It says, and when Aydahchay came into the house, he saw the child lying dead on his bed. He said, you saw a child. It was lying dead on the bed. At noontime, it died. And it was just lying dead on the bed. So he went in and shut the door behind the two of them and prayed to Yahuwah. He prayed. He prayed to Yahuwah. And then he went up and laid on the child, putting his mouth to his mouth, his eyes to his eyes, and his hands to his hands. And as he stretched himself upon him, the flesh of the child became warm. Then he got up again and walked once back and forth in the house, and went and stretched himself upon him. The child sneezed Sheba 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. opened his 7 eyes. He opened his 7 eyes. You know the eyes that Zechariah had. The 7 more, the 7 feasts, the 7 cards. He opened his eyes. He opened the 7 near on his menorah. He opened his 7 eyes again when the child was dead. And guess what happened after that? He opened his eyes. And then he summoned Gehazi and said, call this Shunammite. So he called her. And when she came to him, he said, pick up your son. His eyes have been opened, his 7 eyes. It ain't blind no more. His iron has now been opened. And guess what happened? And she came and fell at his feet, bowing to the ground. Why? Because he said, Yahusha came. What did Yahusha came to do? He said, the Ruach is upon me, for he has anointed me to heal the brokenhearted. He opened the blind eyes. Because he said, if you were blind, you would actually need some help. But being that you say you see, he said, your guilt remains. And he said, and when she came to him, he said, pick up your son. She came and fell at his feet and bowed to the ground. Then she picked up her son and went out. She like, his eyes open. He's like, my head. And she laid on his lap and died at noon. She rushed to get him. And then guess what? He put his hands in his feet. He laid on and made him warm. And guess what happened? Her eyes opened. His 7 eyes opened back. His 7 eyes opened back, right? So then, that word for sneeze is zarar. The child sneezed. Zarar. It sneezed. You know how you sneeze? It's zarar, to sneeze, to perhaps diffuse, to sneeze. And it says sneeze 7 times. How you say that word for times is pa'am. It means to stroke, to beat, footstep, stroke, beat. He sneezed 7 times. Not at length, now at one time. You know how a heartbeat? A stroke, right? A beat, right? You know how your heart beats? Like they had this thing, when you was in a marching band, they had this thing they would do. They would be in the middle of the field and the announcer would be like, feel the heartbeat. And they would be laying on the ground and they boom, boom, and they would jump up. And then he'll say it over and over again, feel the heartbeat, boom, boom, and they'll get up. They'll get back up. How many 7? He said 7 times he sneezed. He said sneezing, zarar. What does sneezing got to do with anything? Right, his eyes came up, and the child sneezed 7 times, and he opened his eyes, and that's iron. He opened his mental qualities. Remember, he said, my head. Didn't he say that? He said he became like a stone. No, his mind became like a stone. It said his mental and spiritual faculties. My head. He came and said, my head. And he went and laid on the lap. You know how you get headaches? And usually headaches happen because of dehydration. Right? And it says be content. It says generous, right? But that's what it meant. The mental faculties. He said he had a faint spell. He died. So we look at iron, right? Eye, watch, experience. His eyes became open. His 7 eyes came back open. Just like the almond blossoms. He said it came back open. All his eyes came back open. His iron. Zechariah 6:3-10. And Yahuwah, and the Malach of Yahuwah solemnly assured Yahusha, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, I will walk in my way. If you walk in my ways and keep my charge, then you shall rule my house and have charge over my courts, and I will give you the right of access among those who are standing here. Then the Malachi grabbed Abraham's right hand. He said, stand up. He said, hear now, Yahusha, the high Kahan, you and your friends who sit before you. For there are men who are a son. They are men who are a son. You know, men with 7 eyes open. You know what he said? Behold, I will bring my servant the branch And get what he said. For behold, on the stone that I have set before Yahushua, on a single stone will be 7 irons, 7 eyes. His 7 eyes are opened up. He sneezed 7 times. That's what you're doing in the purification process during these 7 muads, these 7 feasts. You're sneezing. Boom. You sneeze 1 time. Go to Pasak, you sneezing. You go to Kag Matzah, you sneeze. Kag Chabur, what happens when you eat a shed? You eat herbs. When you eat the things, it's going to come out of you. You're going to start sneezing. Everything will start coming out of you. Your skin. All these things start coming out when you start eating the herbs and the plants and the fruits of the earth. That's what happens. If you do it for your eyes going to become open. Because that's what that shed was. Remember it had an iron in it? It had an iron in it. It's going to improve your eyesight. Guess what happened? You go to Kag Chabur, sneezing. Turah, sneezing. Kafar, sneezing. And then you got Sukkah. Now you're in the 7 expanse. And guess what happened? You sneezing. Man, why all this stuff because you're purifying yourself. The body is being purified. And then when it's over with, you sneeze the 7th time, you be like, your iron became open. You don't woke up. You was dead, but now you alive. Because you gotta be patient. How long does it take for a plant to grow? Some plants it take a year. It took that woman, he said, she ain't got a child, she ain't bear no fruit. And he said, what should I do for you? She said, you're going to have a child. You're going to bear some fruit. Because your attitude and your mindset and the way you love your neighbor, you love yourself, and the way you treated me, that child would be great to have a mother like you. You're going to have a child. Right? When you read that, it says, I will engrave this inscription, declares Yahuwah of hosts, and I will remove the iniquity of this land in a single day. And when the child made alive in a single day? In that day, declares Yahuwah of hosts, every one of you will invite his neighbor to come under the vine and under his fig tree. Why? Because he said in a single day, I'm going to renew all the iniquity. Why do you think he put he said, reproaches him, reproach you who fell on me. Behold the Sah of Yahuwah who take away the sin of the world. Because Yahushua said, if you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. He said, are you going to be the one to walk away? You'd be like, man, that's crazy. But in actuality, he was talking about his debar with his word. This Daniel 10:2. In those days, Daniel was mourning for 3 weeks. And I ate no delicacies, no meat or wine entered my mouth, no things that were cooked by fire and wine. Same thing Abraham did. And guess what? Entered my mouth. Nor did I anoint myself at all for full 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the first month, Daniel fasted all the way through Pesach. You know what Shaul said? Some people abstain. Some people don't. Didn't he say that? Some people esteem a day above another day. He said, let every man be persuaded in his own mind. Why is he doing this? You think people gonna say, I'm gonna judge Daniel for what he. So what you doing fasting, right? But then he says, how you gonna judge Daniel? And his name means judge. That's what Don means. His name means judge. Judge of Elohim. He said, on the 24th day of the first month, I was standing on the bank of the great river. So he was fasting the whole time. And he was by the river. He said, you be like a tree planted by rivers of living water. And people say, I want Yahuwah to speak to me. And he says, that is the Tigris. And I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a man. And then what Abraham happened? He said, a man clothed in linen, and a belt of gold of Uphaz, and around his waist. Abraham had he had a man with a purple robe with a gold staff in his hand. This one different. So you got clothes, they're different. This is a little different, right, than the other one with the staff. And he says, and his body was a beryl. His face like the appearance of lightning. His eyes like flaming torches. His eye was lit, just like a child. His eyes became back open. His iron, them 7 eyes came back open. His eyes are like flaming torches. Iron ish lapid, right? His arms are like the gleam of burnished bronze. So you see him sneezing. Remember that child was sneezing 7 times? And his eyes became open. So every time he sneezed, that's like a spark on one of the menorah. He sneezed again, another spark. Sneezed again, lit another one. Sneezed again. He did it 7 times. By the time it was over, his eyes were like flaming torches. And guess what happened? His arms and his legs as gleam as burnished bronze. And the sound of his words like the sound of a multitude. He's like, it's just like a multitude. Right? So that word for his eyes is iron. Same thing. His iron. His eyes. His mental, spiritual faculties. His mind was right. His mind was right. Spirit, spring fountain, physical eye. It's iron. It's iron, right? It means that he says eyes are like flaming torches. Iron ish. It's fire, hot. It says fire, supernatural fire. So he had spiritual mental faculties. That's the spiritual inward man, mindset, with his supernatural fire. So his eyes were like supernatural fire. His mental faculties is like supernatural fire, which is with 7 eyes. Because you only got 2 eyes in your face. But in your mind, you gotta have 7 lit. And guess what? Yes, your mental, spiritual faculties and your supernatural fire is inside. And guess what happens when your supernatural fire is lit? It's like flaming torches, like lapid, like burning lamps, a torch, firebrand, a lamp or flame. It's just like the menorah. And then you become menorah. And you say, what are we getting ready to do right now? He said, you getting ready to sneeze. Let's light that thing up. Why? Because it's a part of the purification process. Right? This is Jeremiah chapter 23 through 29. Am I an Elohim at hand, declares Yahuwah? Am I not an Elohim far away? Can a man hide himself in secret place that I cannot see him? His eyes like flaming torches. He said, I can see everything y'all doing. He watching everybody film. He just looking at it. He looking at everything you doing. He's like, and you know what he said? Declares Yahuwah, do not I feel Shamayim and earth? He said, do not I feel both places? And people say, I'm going to put Yahuwah in the place. The man just said he feels Shamayim and earth. Yahuwah is in this place. Build a building 70,000 square feet and say Yahuwah in there. He above the 7 Shamayim, above the highest Shamayim, or the earth too. He feel everything. How are you going to say he in your place? He said you're going to put him just in your place. It's just here. This the only place he in. How is that even possible? You know people say this stuff? I remember. It said, declares Yahuwah, I have heard that what the Nabi'im have said, who Naba lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed. And amazingly, they use the most deceptive words that they used here and said, I had a dream, and they used it twice. And people worship. But not even knowing. He said, I have a dream. I have dreamed. He said, how long are you going to do that? How long shall there be lies in the heart of the Nabi'im who prophesy, Naba lies, and Naba deceit of their own heart, who think to make my people forget my name? Have people not forgotten it? Because of a dream? I had a dream. And he says, by their dreams that they tell one another. Even as their fathers forgot my name for Baal. He says, let the Nabi who has a dream, let him tell a dream. He said, tell your dream then. But then he says, but let him who has my debar, my word, let him speak it faithfully. Why? Because it's like supernatural fire with your supernatural mental faculties and your mental spiritual faculties within your mind is lit in your 7 eyes, and it's like flaming torches in your mind. He said, let you speak to the bar faithfully. Why? What has straw in common with the wheat, declares Yahuwah? Is not my word, my debar, like fire, declares Yahuwah? Like a hammer that breaks rocks in pieces? He said, man, it's like a hammer. It's like, he said, it's big, it's greater than Thor's hammer. You know how they put it on? Man, it go even, it's harder than the fire starter. Right? It's harder than anything you can think of. Right? But he said that's how his word is. That's how his bar is, right? He said, not my word like each. Same thing. It's like fire. Amazing, it says, for cooking and roasting. Isn't that what you do to the lamb? The sock? Don't they eat that? You cook and roast it on the altar fire. Amazing, it means altar fire. Supernatural fire. What's supernatural? That's spiritual. That's something that's not, you can't see. So that sacrifice that you're offering with your mind, with your supernatural fire, with your 7 near that are lit in your mind, and it's lit like supernatural fire, it's roasting the very altar where you offering your bread in your mind. And guess what? Your iron, it's like an experience. It's an iron, it's an experience, it's a watch of the night. It's burning fire. People say, why he say present your body as a living sacrifice? And it says right here, this is Job 41, 1 through 44. Can you draw a Leviathan? Oh, and then what the Malachi said? He said, I'm here to hold back the Leviathan and all the attacks of the reptilians, right? Can you draw out Leviathan with a fish hook or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you do that? Can you put a rope in his nose or pierce his jaw with a hook? Huh? So who are you talking about? Will he make pleas to you? Will he speak to you soft words? He said, will Leviathan do that? Will he make a covenant with you to take him for your servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird? Or will you put him on a leash for your girls? He said, you gonna let your little children walk him around? The Leviathan? Will traders bargain over you? Bargain over him? Will they divide him up among the merchants? Who he talking about? He said, who can draw a Leviathan? Verse 7 says, can you fill his skin with harpoons or his head with fish spears? He says, lay your hands on him. Lay your hands on him and remember the battle. You will not do it again. He's like, you do that one time, you go to Leviathan and you go ahead and you try to grab it. You try to go to battle. He said, and try to grab it with your hand. He said, you ain't gonna do it again once you do it one time. He said, that's not gonna happen again. Verse 9 says, behold, the hope of man is false. He's like, the hope of man is false. He is laid low even at the sight of him. He said, even at the sight of him, he is laid low. Even at the sight of him. A Leviathan. And why do you think Abraham hit the ground? He's like, I come to give you strength and put you back on your feet. Then he did that. He told Abraham that. Now no one is so fierce that he dares stir him up. Huh? He said, you ain't that bold. Remember, he told Abraham, be bold and go. Says, who then is he who can stand before me? That Malachi came, he said, go strengthen Abraham and save him from his trembling, from the Leviathan and the reptile, and put him on his feet. Make him stand. You know what Shaul would say? He said, man, a person that eat ashab herbs, he said he lacked physical strength. But he said, Yahuwah is able to make him stand. That's what he said. He's able to make him stand. Right, so that word for can you draw out is mashak. Can you draw? Can you seize it? Can you drag it? Can you do that? Can you drag it along? Right? Can you do that? To who? To the Leviathan. The word for Leviathan is it says Lu Yatan. The Yah, it says Lu Yatan. Yulatan. They got Leave Yatan. Yulatan. It means what? Leviathan. Right? The Yulatan. Lu Yatan. Right? That's what it's called. Lu Yatan. It's crazy. It's Lamed U Yad, right? Lu Yatan, right? Lu Yatan, right? Leviathan, it means sea monster, dragon. Right? The dragon. So he's literally calling about Satan. That old serpent, the dragon, Satan. He's saying, I come to hold back Leviathan and the dragon and Malak Rashid and his whole army from you, Abraham. And how did he do that? How did he do that? He said, who can hold back Leviathan? It's a large aquatic animal, a large fire-breathing animal of sort, huh? So this animal can spew out fire even as Yahuwah can spew out fire. Out his mouth. You know how Yahuwah spray out fire? He said, I ain't Ishlapi. It's not my debar like fire, but this being got fire. The same type fire. Well, it ain't the same, but it's a different type fire. But they fighting fire with fire. You know how you say you fight fire with fire? It's a wreath animal like a serpent, the crocodile, the constellation of the dragon. The constellation of the dragon. Serpent, a dragon. Luyatha. This is Job 41:11-22. Who has first given me that I should repay him? It's the same chapter, it's going to verse 11. Whatever is under the whole Shamaim is mine. He said, whatever is mine. I will not keep silence concerning his limbs, or his mighty strength, or his goodly frame. Right? Who can strip off his outer garment? He's still talking about Leviathan. He's still talking about Luyathan, right? The Yulathan. And it says, who would come near with a bridle? You gonna do him like a horse? Who can open the doors of his face around his teeth in terror? His back is made of rows of shields. Right, you ever seen a crocodile like have them little things on their tail, or you see like other animals that's out here? Now granted, it's other animals on this earth. It's animals here that most people ain't never seen before. So you can't really say what they say, but it's other beings on this earth, under the earth, on the surface of the earth that nobody's ever seen before, or even known. It said his back was made rows of shield, shut up closely as with a seal. As with a what? His back was made rows of shields, closed up as with a seal. And here's what it says. One is so near to another that no air has come between them. They so close. That's how close they are. You can't even go through the middle of it. They are joined one to another. They clasp each other and cannot be separated. His sneezing, oh, here we go. And didn't the child sneeze and his eyes became open? His sneezing flashes forth, that word for flash forward is halal. His sneezing praises the light. And his eyen are like the eyelids of the dawn. Huh? They're like the dawn. That sounds like somebody we just talked about. Right? And it said, out of his mouth goes flaming torches. Isn't that what Yahuwah said the bar is like? But this Leviathan has a fire too. It says, sparks of fire leap forth. Out of his nostrils comes forth smoke. He said, when he sneezes. He said, man, why you keep sneezing? He said, it says what? The boiling pot burns rushes. His breath kindles coals. It's like fire. Isn't that what he was? He talks about, it's not my debar like fire. His eyes like flaming torch. His supernatural mental faculties is like a flaming torch. And a flame comes forth from his mouth. Isn't that what Yahuwah said his word is like? So this Leviathan, this serpent, this dragon can speak fire too. He got fire in his mouth. And if you ain't got no fire, if your lamps in near ain't lit, and you ain't got no supernatural fire to fight fire with fire, you gonna lose. He gonna inflame you. It said, in his neck abides strength, and terror dances before him, right? So that word for a seal is kotam. It means a seal, a signet ring. Isn't that what we supposed to have at the four corners of the altar? Taba'ah. So he got a seal too. He got a seal too. A seal. So the Leviathan, the dragon who spits out fire, he got a seal too. Right? So that word for his sneezing is Aydah. Aydah, right? Aydah. Ayin, and then guess what it has in it? The first letter, Ayin. His sneezing, and amazingly, he sneezed 7 times. His eye, when that young man sneezed, when he was healed, he sneezed 7 times, and his eyes became open. His 7 eyes came open. So this Leviathan can do the same. He's sneezing too. He said when his sneezing, it flashes forth his Aydah, his sneezing, Aydahchay, his sneezing is like what? Right? His eyelids, you know that word eyelids? His sneezing flashes forth or halal or, it sings out praises of light. And you know what it says? And his eyes are like eyelids of the dawn. Who was like the eyelids of the dawn? The adulterous woman who caught the man, right? And that word for eyelids is af. He said Leviathan. He said to keep you from what? I'm holding back Leviathan. Isn't that what the Malachite told Abraham? I'm holding back Leviathan in the attacks of the reptiles, the reptilians, the beings, right, that suck your energy out. He said eyelids like the dawn, off. Her eyelids like the dawn, like a morning ray, like the fire, like the morning ray of the sun. So he got that too. It's Leviathan. Guess what it says? Ayin, that word for ayin, eye, pupil, opening of heart and eyes, full of dark. Because we talk about this. But off, you got the mouth, you got the mouth, voice, partake, utterance. And container, right? Everything that you see with off, and guess what? Their eyes, it's ayin, there's an ayin in the front. And guess what it equal to? Ayin is 70. Yeah, ayin is 70. And the pa is 80. Equals to 150. Which equals to 6. And you can be joined to it. Just like a tent peg. You can be joined to it just like a tent peg. Matter of fact, you can be joined to it during kafar. I mean, amazingly, atonement. That's the 6th feast. You can be joined to it. But here we go. It says his eyes are like the dawn, like shakar. It means what? Shakar, eye, light, morning. It's just like the morning dawn. It's like the morning, the sun rising. Daybreak. That's why the sun worship. Why do you think people worship the sun? Who do you think they worship? The dragon. Shakar. Right? He's like the dawn. Leviathan. Leviathan, right? Satan got many names, right? He says, out of his mouth go, right? That word for go is halak. Out of his mouth walks. His mouth, his word is like it's a walk that come with it when you listen and when you take it in. It's a walk that come with it, and it got a seal too. And it got fire. Yeah, look at they can speak fire too. Right? Because death and life in the power of the tongue. It means to walk about, perceive, right? So it has a walk with it. It's a halak. Out of his mouth walks flaming torches, lapid. Isn't that what Yahuwah got? He said, not my word, like I ain't each lapid, like flaming torches. He said, Leviathan got that too. A lamp. He got a lamp too, a menorah. He said, he got one too. And it said right here, it says, out of his mouth, flaming torches. That word for sparks is kidod. Kidod, right? Kidod. It means spark. Kidod is a spark that come out of his mouth. You know what the spark is for? It's to light things. That's what a sneezing does. It lights. Remember we talked about when he sneezed 7 times and his eyes were lit. And he woke up and he healed the child. Because first his mental foul hit my head, and he laid on the lap and he died. Isn't that what Shamshun happened to Shamshun? He laid on Delilah's lap and he died. He lost his 7 locks. Didn't he not? He did the same thing. He lost his mental faculties, his supernatural fire. His near went out. His menorah went out. And he went blind. That's why he took out his eyes. Right? It was like a spark, right? Here we go. Right, so that word for fire is ish. Same thing. Ayin ish apid. Leviathan got the same thing. So Yahuwah like, I got my fire. Leviathan, the dragon, got his fire. He said, let's fight. Let's bring it on. Because the fire with fire. It said burning, and he said flaming hot. And this is what you're going to have to do with Satan he said when Satan comes in your life, in your mind, and try to sway you to do things. That's like when Yahushua fasted for what? 40 days and 40 nights. Isn't that what he told Abraham? But Yahushua, when Satan spewed out his fire, Yahushua threw out his fire. He said, thou shalt worship Yahuwah, and him only shalt thou serve. I don't worship the sun, Leviathan, Leviathan. Right. So that word for leap forth, it says it sparks of fire, leap forth, it's malak. And guess what it said right here? His mouth or his pie is like flaming torches, which is lapid, and guess what? It sparks fire or ish, and it leaps forth. And guess what it says? That word for leap forth is malat, and it means to be smooth. It's real smooth talk. It's fire, but it's smooth speech. It's like the dawn, like the eyelids, like the up. It's like the dawn. You know what it also means? By slipperiness. What's real slippery in the hand when you grab it? Like a snake. Remember he said, I come to hold back the attacks of the Leviathan and the reptiles. It's slippery, like the serpent. The adder, like Malak Rasha with the hood on his head that Amram wrote about. Malak Rasha, the reptilian. The mark of darkness. You get what he said? Releases or rescue. But it also means what? To save, deliver. Right? You know what Satan said he was going to do? Yahushua? He said, I know you're hungry. Turn these stones to bread. Smooth speech. If you just fall down and worship me, I'll give you all of it. Smooth speech. You know, it'll also be smooth. Bring forth young, emit sparks. Isn't that what Ham did, as we spoke about? When he was inflamed by the Shadim, the demons, and he was the first magician, and it was since he caused sparks to be seen among men that they might worship him. It was his smooth speech. I know we don't remember that. That was all over down with Balaam. That when we talked about Balaam. We talked about Balaam. It was like a year ago. But they said what? Speedily, right? All these are important, right? This mostly Proverbs 6:20-35. My son, keep your father's commandments and forsake not your mother's teaching. This has a conclusion to it. Bind them around your heart. Tie them around your neck. When you walk, they will lead you. Huh? They gonna what? Thy word, thy bar is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my pathway. It's my near. It keeps my near burning. That I may fight against Leviathan, the dragon. It will lead you. And when you lie down, they will watch over you. When you lie down, you're going to wake up with your 7 eyes lit. You're going to go to sleep with your 7 eyes lit. And they said, and when you awake, your 7 eyes are lit. Didn't know what happened to the young man, but when he went to sleep, his 7 eyes went out. See, you're going to need it in your subconscious world. You're going to need it to bar in your subconscious fight, in your dreams. Then you made to discern between good and evil in your dreams. You know, I said, let a prophet not tell a dream. But if you got my debar, let him speak that fire, because it may be Satan that put that dream in your mind. Because he may have put it in your mind. You see the movie Inception, they be like, man, what is that? They implant a dream in your mind. And then guess what? You be like, it's the real. And then you don't know, it's an architect who put it in your consciousness. He said, that go deep. Exactly. And guess what it says? It says, they watch over you. When you awake, it will talk with you. Then your near still be lamp. Your lamp be burning. For the commandment is the near, the lamp. That word for lamp is near. For the commandment is the near. It literally keeps your near, your 7 near burning, your 7 eyes. And the teaching is light. It's the spark that keeps your 7 near burning. And the reproofs or tukad of discipline is a way of life. Why? So you can master it. Because you got to master it. And he says, any man strive for mastery, he must do it lawfully. That's why Abraham had to follow the instructions when the man came to him. And it says, to preserve you from the evil Isha, the evil woman, Isha, with the foot, from smooth tongue of the adulteress. That word for adulteress is nurki. So, nurkery. So, from the smooth tongue of the Leviathan, of the dragon, of Satan, of the fire-breathing dragon. Because he going to need your lamp, you're going to need your near burning, your word going to have to be like fire in your mouth. It may keep you from the smooth-talking Leviathan. Oh, that's why the Malachi said, I come to keep the attacks of the Leviathan away from you. Abraham, make sure you follow the instructions. Because I'm trying to stop you from getting entangled with Leviathan. The reptile, the slippery, slithering, smooth-talking man or woman. Or child, you know, an old man. Remember, Satan came as an old man too. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelids, her off, with her smooth tongue, like the dawn. For the price of a prostitute, a zana is a loaf of bread. It said, for the price of a prostitute, or a zana is only a loaf of lakum. It's just like lakum. Isn't that what we're going to? We're going to Qahalath. But a married woman hunts down a precious life. He said a prostitute is different from them. He said, only thing you got to give her a loaf of bread. But this woman wants your whole life. She's going to kill you. Yeah, I give you he said a prostitute is a nine. You give her. He said, but a married woman hunts down your precious life. Says, can a man carry fire next to his chest and his clothes be not burned? Right? You know his clothes coming off. And amazingly, this will be coming up on time of much watching. To keep you from the smooth talking man, woman, child. Right? Because they're going to be coming. And it says right here, or can one walk on hot coals and his feet be not scorched? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife, none who touches her will go unpunished. He said, you're not gonna be unpunished. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his appetite when he is hungry. But if he is caught, he will pay 7-fold sheepah thief, which means he gonna lose his 7 eyes. You gonna go blind. My mind, my head, and you gonna lay on the lap and you gonna die in your mind. and your near gonna go out. Your lamp gonna be put out. Your near, your manure. He will give all the goods of his house. He said the thief gonna come, steal, kill, and destroy. You know what's gonna happen? You gonna give everything you got. You know how he talks about? Buy the truth and sell it not. He said by the time you get your lamp, bro, by the time you get back, you're going to have to sell everything in your house to get it back. You know what happened? He who commits adultery, na'af, lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. And then he said, destroyer coming during the Pesach. He said, the destroyer is coming during Pesach. And if your lamp and your eyes are out, how you going to be able to understand and see and understand what the destroyer looked like? Because you know he got fire too, smooth speech. And it says he will get wounds and dishonor and disgrace. And he said disgrace will not be wiped away. Remember he said, we just talked about he going to remove all iniquity in one day. He said when you do something like this, you know how you do something wrong and it just stays on for generations. Like we still talking about Shalom. We still talking about David. We still talking about what they did. Are you still talking about Adam and Cool? But Yahushua said, I came to wipe your sin away. Even though Yahuwah says he took away our sin. But the remembrance of what you did still lingers in other people's minds. And it says, he will get wounds and dishonor and disgrace will not be wiped away. For jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes revenge. Huh? He said, Yahuwah is a jealous Elohim. And you know what he gonna do? When Yahuwah comes, he said, I got my word like fire. It said, he will accept no compensation. He will refuse, though you multiply gifts. He ain't gonna take no bribes. You know how they said they try to bribe you? They try to bribe you out? He said, I'm not taking no bribe. Right, the word for adulteress in that word, it says the smooth tongue of adulteress is Nurki. Nurkery. Isn't that a character name? Nurkery. Foreign alien. Foreign woman. Unknown. Unfamiliar. Strange. A strange woman. A strange woman? A relative. Adulteress. An alien, foreign, outlandish, or strange, foreign. So, now you see why Shaul say, what did Shaul say? He said, I never told you not to keep company with adulterers from the other world, and swindlers and extortioners. He said, if any man is a brother or a sister who is guilty of adultery, he said, don't even eat with them. He said, don't even eat the Pesach with them. The festival day. He's like, don't you even do it. Why would he say that? Because, remember he said it ain't gonna be wiped away? Because he know that the day they eat of it, they gonna surely die. That's why. They gonna get, how you say it? The day you eat of it, you're gonna surely die. And then what he said? He said, you're gonna eat this bread and drink this blood. He said, make sure you examine yourself. As you eat this, you eat and drink damnation to your soul. He said, you eat and drink in this, the actual destruction on yourself. He said, don't you even eat with them. He said, they got extortion, swindling, reviling, adultery, fornication, and you gonna eat the Pesach with them? He said, don't you even eat with them. He's like, what's wrong with you? Let me get through this. I'm spending too much time. Right, that word for smooth speech or smooth tongue is kalika. Kalka, right? Kalka means slippery, right? Slippery places. Slippery places, smoothness, right? Flattery. Remember Daniel said, many gonna cleave them through flattery? And it says what? And some are gonna cause the fall. But he gonna receive a little help. You know what Abraham got? He got some help. It said, because you gotta keep yourself from the Leviathan, the Leviathan. It's an allotment. It says flattering smoothness. They're gonna be trying to smooth talk you with pleasant. They're gonna sound pleasant too, but they got the same words. Remember, the sons of Elohim had the same words too. Shemjaza, Osbal, they had the same. They use the same Torah, right? Right. So that word for adultery, he who commits adultery. That word for commits adultery is na'af. He who is a na'af and commits adultery, idolatrous worship, commits adultery, goes into his neighbor's wife, apostatizes, a woman that breaks wedlock. He said that's the only way it's going to be adultery. The woman has to be married. That's adultery. If the woman's not, it's fornication. Let me use that one. It says wife of another. He said that's why it's dangerous. He said, but you gotta keep watch over it. It says Proverbs 7:6-9. For at the window, so we go to the next verse. This 7 going to verse 6. For at the window of my house I have looked out from my lattice, and I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youths a young man lacking sense. So this person that's watching in the nighttime has their 7 eyes, their mental, spiritual faculties open. They have their 7 near burning, they lapid, and it's like flaming torches, and they can see. They got iron. The supernatural fire is burning. And they see and perceive. The only way you're going to perceive is in your mind. They watching, because we're approaching a time of much watching. Because you got to need your iron to see it. How you say? Experience, watch. A young man lacking sense. So this person is using their spiritual eyes to see, because Yahuwah see everything. He said, is there not a place anywhere Yahuwah don't see you? Because everybody's supposed to be watching. Because you are Yahuwah's eyes. Verse 8 says, passing along the street near her corner. Right? He said, I saw him in the night watch, taking the road to her house in the twilight. I saw her, I could see in the dark. Because that is what? Evening time. Arab, and that has an iron in it. I could see in the dark. At the time of the night and darkness, I could see in the dark. Evening, morning. Because David says, darkness is light to you, Yahuwah. Right? So that word for the window lattice is in the shab. That means a window. Or you say, Eshnab. Eshnab. It means window lattice. Eshnab. Lattice, right? They got the aleph, the shin, the noon, and the bayit. Eshnab. Eshnab. Eshnab, right? Window lattice, right? Also, that you see that word for lacking, you know, it said he was lacking sense, right? But he said he was lacking sense, right? That word for lacking in niyah, needy, in want, lacking, hence without. He was in want. He was lacking stuff. You know, he said he was lacking things in his mind because his eyes and near, I guess one of those near wasn't lit, and he was lacking some light, so he couldn't really see what he was getting ready to do. And it says that word for, that word for sense, they say, it says, that word for sense is inner man, it's laid. He was lacking sense, he was lacking in his mind. The word for sense is Allah, right? Laid, right? Labi. Labi. Okay. You say, why would they say Labi? Because they got Lamed and they got the Bayis, right? You got the Bayi, right? Labi. That's what they would say. Because you got the Bayis with the Yai. Because you spell Bayi, B-A-Y-T-H. Bayi. Labi. Labi. It is inner man, inner mind, right? So we got inner man and mind. This is all about the inner mind. The supernatural fire that's in yourself. The Lamed is the teacher of your body. It means what? Understanding the inner parts. Remember, this is all about our mind, our 7 eyes in our mind, our mental, spiritual faculties, our supernatural fire in our mind. It's all about our mind, our heart. The heart also, right? That all coincides with both. Inner man, mind. Right, so Proverbs chapter 7, 10 through 27. Behold, the woman meets him dressed as a prostitute, wildly, not tsar of heart. Now he's saying, after he done seen I saw her going to the house, walking down the road. And behold, the woman meets him dressed like a zanah, a prostitute, wildly, and not tsar of heart. Right? She's not tsar. That word for wildly is not tsar. Wildly of heart. She is loud and wayward. Her feet does not stay at home. Now she in the streets, so she ain't at home. It's at nighttime. You know we're supposed to be a night of much watching we come to. And you know he said, if you're not in your house, he said, if you're not in your house, the destroyer will destroy you. And she said, I looked out my window during the watch time. They say, imagine during Pesach. I looked out my window during Pesach, and I saw a man going down the street to her house. While the destroyer is out there, while the Leviathan is outside, while the dragon is outside. And I saw him going to her house. Because she watching. Because it's a night of much watching. Because you're supposed to be watching. You're supposed to be looking out the window, looking on the balcony, on your rooftop, looking down, looking around, looking what's going on. If you really a watchman. Second and third watch. Watch woman, watch man. That's it. And it says, because everybody watching. And it says, and wayward, her feet did not stay at home. Now in the street, now in the market. He said, at every street corner, lying in wait. Lies in wait. Just like the dragon. And you get what it says. And she seizes him and kisses him. And behold, and with a bold face, she said to him. And then when he said, Abraham, go make this sacrifice. Be bold and go. And what it says, with a bold face, she said to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I paid my vow. Isn't that what Abraham was getting ready to go do? But he said, I've come to hold back the Leviathan from you. And amazing, we getting ready to do Pesach and offer a lamb. But that's fire in our mind on the altar. And he says, so now I have come out to meet you to seek you eagerly. I paid my vow, I did my sacrifice already. I offered to Yahuwah a willing sacrifice. Chdsh and acceptable. Remember, you ain't supposed to leave none to the morning, and you ain't supposed to go out of your house. Or you mean you ain't supposed to allow your house to be broken into? Because we talk about the second and third watch. If the good man had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not suffered his house to be broken into. Because that would happen to this young man, right? And he said, you're going to give everything in your house. I paid my vows. So now I come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly. And I have found you. She said, I found you. And I have spread my couch with coverings the color of linen, Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Because you got to present a offering with sweet smelling savor. So what you think she's getting ready to do right now? She's trying to do an offering to a sweet smelling savor. But who's she doing her offering to a sweet smelling savor to? Oh, you talking about the other seal. She got that other seal. That seal of Leviathan, with that fire, that smooth speech she got. She getting ready to do an offering to him, to the dragon. And get what happened? He says, come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. He like, because you ain't supposed to leave none of it until the morning. Remember, when we do Pesach, you ain't supposed to leave none of it till the morning. Let us delight ourselves in love. That's what we're supposed to do. It's a love feast, isn't it? But you see what they're doing. And amazingly, you ain't supposed to go near your wives during this time. You ain't supposed to be doing this stuff. Because you be what? You're supposed to be having intercourse and doing this stuff during these times. Why? And it says, right, and get what it says. We delight ourselves with love. For my husband is not home. He is on a long journey. What was the commandment for a man on a long journey to her Pesach? If he unclean by dead body or such and such, or he on a long journey, he said he keep it in the second month. right? He took a bag of money with him, and the full moon he will come home. Why? Because he on a long journey during the Pesach, and he gonna be gone to the next month. When he's coming in, he gonna come in and do Pesach. Cause it's a night of much watching. He said, the husbands and the people in there, she on a long journey, you need to watch the wife. What the wife doing at home? You need to be on watch. You need to be watching. What the people doing next door? What they doing over there? What people doing over here? You gotta be watching. He took a bag of money. He will come at the full moon. Like I said, the next month, he will come home the next month. Numbers, Bamidbar 9:10-12. Speak to the children of Yasharal, saying, if any one of you or descendants is unclean through touching a dead body, I mean, you unclean. That ain't the only thing you be unclean by. Or you can do something where you can't take it. Or is on a long journey. He shall keep the Pesach to Yahuwah in the second month. He gonna be back with it next month. He on a long journey. But I done offered mine. I done did my Pesach land. I done offered my vow to Yahuwah. I done did it. Now I'm in the street, and you supposed to be in the house. You supposed to be in the house. Her feet stay not at home. You supposed to be in the house. Right, this both male and female doing this. So that's the male transgression and the woman. So they both supposed to be in the house. They supposed to be watching it during the night. But they out there. They out there doing other stuff. Now this is amazingly, this happening on the 14th. This happening on the 14th day. At evening. It says in the second month, at the 14th day at twilight, they shall keep it. And they shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs, right? They shall leave none until the morning. He said, let us take our fill to the morning. Isn't that what she said? It was a sacrifice to Leviathan. It was a sacrifice to the dragon, to Satan, Satan. Nor break any of its bones. He's like, don't even break none of its bones. Don't leave none of it to the morning. According to all the statutes of Pesach, they shall keep it. Right, that word for, and behold, the woman meets him and dressed. That word for dressed is sheath. She was dressed with a sheath, a garment, dressed, put on, attire, a garment, a sheath. To do what? It says a dress, as put on, a tire. So the clothes she had on was like a zina, to commit fornication. The dress she had on, the clothes that she was dressed in, I say you're going to clothe the meek with salvation. The kind ones with salvation. This one will clothe with the smooth speech of the dragon. And when you clothe with the dragon, and you ain't humble, you clothe with Satan. To commit fornication, to be a harlot, to be wanton, to commit adultery. That's what she was clothed in. She was dressed like it, like a zina. And that word for wali, she is wali. That word for wali is netzar, to guard. She was on watch. She was a watch person too. Isn't that what we doing? It's a night of much watching. She was a watch over. She was a watch. She was at watch too. She was what? I found you. I came out to meet you. I came out the house. I was watching. But then I saw you and I came out to meet you. I came out the house. Even though it's bizarre, I'm supposed to stay in the house. Matter of fact, I'm out here to meet you. And guess what? It means observe, to guard. She was a watchman. Huh? She was a watchman to guard. She was a watchman. It means cunning. She was a watchman. She was watching that night. She was a watchman in her mind. That's what you're supposed to do. It's not that much watching, but if you got to have your 7 near burning. Your flaming torches, because right? You know how people hold one in their hand and they watch it. It's not as much watching, right? So it means it says she is loud. She's Hamas. She murmurs. She growls. You ever seen a growl? You know how Satan growls. She murmurs. Cry aloud. She enraged, right? To make a loud sound. Great commotion. roaring like a lion. And she said she's wayward, she's rebellious, she's stubborn, she's rebellious. Why? Because they will be in the house. Both of them will go be in the house. She is a rebel, stubborn. She's stubborn too. It's a night of much watching, right? This mostly Proverbs 7:10 through 21 through 27. With much seductive speech, she persuades him. With her smooth talk, she compels him. All at once, he follows her as an ox goes to the slaughter. She has smooth talk, like slithery serpent, like the Leviathan, Leviathan. All at once, he follows her as an ox goes to the slaughter, and a stag is caught fast. She's like, you follow me just like an ox is caught fast, till an arrow pierces his liver, as a bird rushes into a snare. He does not know that it will cost him his life. He don't even know it. He said, what you just did, we supposed to stay in the house. It was to show us a premise. We getting ready to go Pesach. Stay in the house, be watch, be on guard, be on watch. It's just to give us a premise in the second and third watch to be on guard, not only for yourself and your own mind, but also for your neighbor. For your neighbor. You're supposed to be a watchman for them. Because it might be somebody's son might sneak out the back door. And the husband on a long journey at somebody's house, and somebody's son might walk in his house, her house. So I don't want to say nothing. That's the last thing you don't want to do. We're going to talk. You get there. We're almost done. And now, O son, listen to me. Be attentive to my words of my mouth. Let not your heart turn aside to her ways, and do not stray to her paths. For many a victim she has laid low. She done brought you down to nothing. She basically killed you. And all her slain are mighty and strong. Her house is the way to Sheol, going down to the chambers of death. That's what he gonna cast the beast and the Nabi, the false Nabi'in, the one with the smooth speech, false prophet. He gonna throw him in the lake of fire. Because the only way he gonna do that, he gotta fight fire with fire. Lapid with lapid, flaming torches with flaming torch, each with each. Like he gotta fight Leviathan. Right? So that word for smooth in that verse is Qahalath. It means portion, share, territory. Seductiveness, smoothness, same as Satnal's smooth Leviathan, Leviathan. Flattery, same thing. Flattery. Right? Flattery. Same thing, right? So Proverbs 6:27 through 32. Can a man take fire next to his chest and his clothes be not burned? Or can a man walk on hot coals and his feet be not scorched? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. None who touches her should go unpunished. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his appetite, and when he is hungry. But if he is caught, he will pay sevenfold, and he will give all the goods of his house, because your house is gonna get broken into, second and third watch. And he who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. That's when the destroyer comes during Pesach. It's teaching you to be. It's not as much watching. It's teaching you to be a watchman all the way through the seven celestial circles. Just like we keep 11 out of our house. During that time, it's teaching us to keep sin out of our life all through the whole year and be watchmen the whole year. That's what it's teaching us to do. But if you go to sleep, you say, man, I ain't no watchman tonight. Then your house gonna get broken into. And then you know what's gonna happen after that? You're gonna wake up in the morning and you're gonna be inflamed with Leviathan, with Satan, the dragon, or a Salbi, or a Bunalek, or a Koros. You're going to be inflamed with Mastama and our Biwi, right? You're going to be inflamed with Adal and Aldi, Gaund, Actrax, Ataf. You're going to be filled with Barbariyas. They're going to be all in your mind. Asmodeus. And it says, he who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. That's Asmodeus, because that's what he did. Remember, he killed all the husbands in Tobin. It said, he who commits adultery lacks sense. He destroys himself. That word for destroy is shakah. It means to destroy, to corrupt, to ruin, to decay. He said, you're going to decay. It said also be marred. To be what? To be spoiled. To what? To pervert. Remember how Shaul was talking about something that pervert the truth? He said they pervert it. How do they do that? Because they destroyed on the inside. They got smooth tongue. He said, ain't no marvel that Satan transformed himself into a molecule of light. Satan himself will transform himself into a iron ish lapid too. He'll do the same thing. He'll be a watchman too. And he said it, but the end will be according to what they do, their deeds. It means what? To decay. That's why you gotta watch. Why you say you gotta decay? To go to ruin. Why? Because their house got broken into, right? This is the book of Exodus 12, 22 through 24. Take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in blood that is in the basin and touch the lintel of the two doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. None of you shall go out the door of the house until the morning. Where were they at? They were in the street. They went out the house because he said, you stubborn. You wild in your heart. He said, you stubborn. He said, they went out the house and none house until the morning. For Yahuwah will pass through and strike the Egyptians, Mizraim, and when he sees the blood on the lintels and on the two doorposts, Yahuwah will pass over the door and will not allow the destroyer to enter your house and strike you. Enter inside of you and strike you. He said, you will not go unpunished. You shall observe the right as statutes for you and your sons forever. Why he said, my son, keep my commandments. You not forget to teach commandment your father and teaching your mother, please. Don't walk in the way of her paths. He said, stay in the house. You will be trying to save us. He be like, why he say stay in the house? He trying to save people. He trying to save man, woman, child, son, daughter, mother, father. He trying to save everybody. You shall observe the right as a statute for you and your sons forever, right? Because it teaches you something. That word for hyssop is agudah. It means hyssop, a bundle, a knot, a bunch of hyssop, a bundle, a band, a knot, an arch. Hyssop, it means band of men, a thong, a troop, but it also means what? Firmament. Right? He said, take some hyssop. That's it. And amazing, he got what? Purple. What was the garment that man had on? When he came to Abraham, he had a purple garment on. Matter of fact, he had a gold reed in his hand. He said, take some hyssop and dip it in the bowl. Right? He said, take some hyssop and dip it in what? The basin. The word for basin is soft. It means spreading basin, goblet, a basin, a threshold, a basin, the doorkeeper. He said, doorkeeper. He said, the doorkeeper. Didn't the woman sit at the door? When the man of Elohim came, he said she was standing at the door. Right, but it said right here, basin. It means containing or vestibule, right? A dish, right? That's all it is. A bowl. It's a bowl. A basin. And amazingly, right? The word for, and touch the lintel, that word for lintel, it says touch the lintel is masuk, mashkaf. Mashkuf, right? Mashkuf. Mashkuf, that means the lintel or of the door, the overhanging lintel. Say, take some hyssop, dip it in blood that is in the basin, and touch the lintel, right? And the two doorposts with it. So he said, get some hyssop, that's like a plant, dip it in blood and put it on the corners. And then he says, lintel doorposts, right? And then it also says that word for doorpost is, it says mezuzah, right? It means doorposts. Side posts, right? The two sides of your door. You know how many side posts we have in here? He said everywhere. He's like, put it in there. So you think about your house, your mansion, your body. And then what they say right here? It says of your door, the pathak, your doorway, your entranceway, your gates, and opening. And opening. How many openings you have on your body? 2 eyes, 2 nose. You got a nose, 2 noses, that's 4. You got a mouth, that's 5. You got 2 ears, that's 7. And that's all around your mind. And it says right here, door, entrance, entry, gate. And it says right here, none of you shall go out the door of his house until the morning. Right? But that word but guess what? That word for blood is dam. It means blood of wine. That's what it means. Dam. It means blood of wine. Blood. It was shed. It says, which shed or causes death. Juice of grape. There you go. The juice of grape. Blood guiltiness. Bloodthirsty, right? So we know the dam, we know Adam, but we see Adam and we see blood again. But we see Adam and Adama. But then it's all made from redness. Right? But it says right here that the word dalaf, because dam is dalaf, or entrance or water. The door of water. Like I said, the entrance, door, gateway, portal, exit, tent door. Meme is water, river, fountain, fullness of life. Oil, cleanse. You got the dalaf is 4. The meme is 40. We use the 8. We use the 8. What we talking about? He laid your burdens on. It equal to 8. Mazun equal to 8. All that's a part of it. But it said right here. So he said, strike it take the hyssop and put on the tops of the door, right? And on the side doorposts. He said, take the hyssop and do that. Hyssop dipped in blood and put the purple plant with the blood, with the purple hyssop, dip it in blood, which is red, and put it on the side and the doorposts. So you got red and purple. And you get this bowl and you put the blood in there, of the lamb, of the sow, and you dip the hyssop in there with the blood, and you put it on the 2 side posts and on the top. He said, put a nice little coat up there. He said, why you gotta know this? He said, this is a mental experience. You gotta watch. In your eyes. See. Right, so this is the book of Devarim 6:4-9. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah, your Elohim is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your Elohim. And then when he told Abraham, he said, because he loved you. Because you are love. See, Yahuwah said, you show me love, I'll show you love. You show me, I'll show you love. He said, hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah, your Elohim is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words I command you today shall be on your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk with them when you sit in the house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. And the way he was teaching his son, we read in the book of Proverbs. You get what happened? And bind them around a sign on your hand, and let them be as frontless between your eyes. Let it be right there in between your eyes. What do you mean frontless between your eyes? What's in the middle of you between your eyes? Between the 6 near. The Yarek. The Yarek. The Yarek was the base of the menorah. It was the base of the menorah. It's between the eyes. You know, complete the 7 times. You know what happened? And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. You should write them in your eyes. You should write them on the doorposts, just like Pesach. To protect you from the destroyer. To protect you from the Leviathan and Satan and Satan in the smooth speech of the Leviathan, the destroyer. They said the destroyer, right? Right. I put Shemuth Exodus, right? 12:28. Shemuth Exodus 12:28, right? But at the same time, we'll go there right quick. Yeah, I'll put it in there. It said right here, the people. And guess what it says? Leviticus 12 and 27. Exodus 12:27. You shall say, it is the sacrifice of Yahuwah's Pesach, for he passed over the houses of the people of Yasharal in Mizraim, when he struck the Egyptians, but he spared our houses. For the people bowed their heads and worshipped in their houses. You know what people were doing? They were out there creeping in the street with the destroyer. And you know what it says? Then the people of Yasharal went and did so, and as Yahuwah commanded Moshe and Aaron, so they did. So they did. And that's what you got to do. So they did. Right, so that word for that same night, he said it's a night of much watching. That word for watching it's a night of much. So you got Exodus 12:40 through 42. The time that the people of Yasharal lived in Mizraim were 430 years. And at the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the host of Yahuwah went out from the land of Mizraim. It was a night of watching. Because it's supposed to teach you something by Yahuwah, to bring them out of the land of Mizraim. So this same night is a night of watching. I saw out the lattice in my window, I saw a man lacking sin. It's Pesach. He outside going to commit adultery. I guess the destroyer got him. I was watching too, and I saw him go out. But you know why she was doing that? She was trying to show her son. This is an example. I'm gonna tell you a story about when I was watching one time. I was up, and I saw somebody going down the road to her house, and they committed adultery. And her husband on a long journey. And it was during Pesach. I want to tell you this story. Don't do like her. Don't walk in her ways, right? And it was a night of much watching to bring him out of the land of Mizraim. So that same night is a night of watching kept by Yahuwah, by all the people of Yasharal. So everybody got to do it. People are like, nah, I ain't got to do it. All throughout their generation. So that means everybody's supposed to have been doing this since the time you learned it up until however age you are today. And now you see why everybody has gotten away with so much stuff over the years. And people say, you know why? Because nobody been watching, nobody been looking, and nobody been saying that. That's the reason. So that way, that word for watching is shamar. Shamar, I mean, the same word as it was in the garden with Adam. Shamar. You know what shamar? He said he shall work it and keep the garden. He got to watch over it. It's a night watch. Because nobody like night watching. Watching, vigil, observance. You got to be, how you going to observe when your 7 eyes are closed? Your lamp got to be burning. Ayin ish lapi. Your eyes got to be flaming torches. That word for it's Exodus 12:23 through 24. For Yahuwah will pass through and strike the Mizraim, and when he sees the blood on the lintel on the 2 posts of the door, you took the hyssop, you follow the instruction, you put on the door. And we're not doing literal, but it's purple hyssop. You know, hyssop was purple. And you take the red, dip it in blood, and you put it on the side. And it said right here, Yahuwah will pass over the door and will not allow the destroyer to enter your house. He will not take over your body. He said, who was the destroyer with the woman committing adultery? The woman was the Leviathan, the destroyer. And the man he was the destroyer. You got two destroyers walking in the street. One person lacking sense. It's like the zombie movie. You ever seen the zombie movie, the scary movie, and you be on the roof watching, and then you be like, man, what you doing? What you walking down the street for? Them beings out there, right? And they be sitting there looking at him. Next thing you know, they jump on him and grab him. And he be like, that's his fault. You weren't supposed to be out the house anyway. The destroyer at the end of the house is strike you. Huh? The destroyer, right? Because we know that word is shakath, but the reason why I put this is because I want to show it again. Because people, and it says right here, and you shall observe this right as a statute for you and your sons. Because they need to show you something. To ruin and decay. That's what the destroyer gonna do. If you ain't got that blood on the side of your door, your doorpost, because they gonna come into your house. If you stubborn and lacking sense, and guess what that destroyer gonna do? This book of Jubilees 49, 2:1-3. Remember the commandment which Yahuwah commanded you concerning the Pesach, that you observe it in its time. The Pseudepigrapha, volume 2. On the 14th day of the first month, so that you might sacrifice it before it becomes evening. Why? Because you're only supposed to keep the lamb until the 14th day. You better hurry and get that lamb cooked. Because you know, if you don't get it before evening, you ever seen like Pitch Black? When Pitch Black say, when the lights go out, the freaks come out. And then he said in the movie. People say, why he said that? Because he know they're coming out. He said on the 14th day before the evenings, and so that you might eat it during the night of the evening on the 15th from the time of sunset. You need to be eating it. You know why? From on this night, there was the beginning of the feast, and there was the beginning of joy. You're supposed to have it. You continue eating Pesach in Mizraim, and all the powers of Mastama were sent to kill all the firstborn. You know how many demons Mastama got under his command? It says firstborn of the land of Mizraim, from the firstborn from Pharaoh to the firstborn of the captive maidservant who was in the millstone, and to the cattle. Right. So that word powers of Mastama. So when we look at powers of Mastama, he's a prince of demons. He has demons under him. Shadim. Right? This demon is called Bianakith. Bianakith is a 36 demon connected to the 36 deacons of the Zodiac, possessing the body of a man and the head of a beast. You know what it says? Bianakith is a particularly nasty demon of disease. He said, if you keep these commandments, I'll put any diseases I put on Israel. But he says, he can torment his victims by making their bodies waste away. You know, like, should cause ruin. It cause your body to waste away. Beyond keys. He can cause their flesh to rot and decaying even while they're still alive. Because you ain't gonna go unpunished. If you ain't got that blood on the doorpost and you ain't eating the Pesach and doing it. He said, what? What do you mean? He said, behold the Lamb of Yahuwah, the Sah of Yahuwah. Because your mental, spiritual faculties got to be activated, and you got to be doing this according to the Ruach. Because Bianakith is a spiritual being. I don't know if people understand that. A spiritual being. This book of Jubilees, Testament, the Old Testament, Pseudepigrapha, volume 2, Nuach, prayer against the demons. In the third week of the Jubilee, the polluted demons began to lead astray the children of Nuach, the sons, and lead them to folly. Isn't that what we just read in Proverbs? It was a demon that led him to that, to destroy them. Then he said, he that committed adultery was going to be destroyed by the destroyer, and all the powers of Mastama and Bianakith. And the sons of Nuach came to Nuach, their father, and they told him about the demons who were leading astray and binding his smooth speech, blinding. How they bind them? In their 7 eyes, and killing his grandchildren. And he prayed before Yahuwah his Elohim, and he said, you know what you're supposed to do? He said, Yahushua said, watch under prayer. In the second and third watch, you can't let you enter into temptation. Didn't the man enter into temptation at nighttime during the watch time? During Pesach? He entered into temptation. And guess what happened? And he said, the Ruach, which is in all flesh, who acted mercifully with me and saved me and my sons from the water of the flood, and did not let me perish as you did the children of perdition, because great is your con upon me, and great was your mercy upon my soul. Let your con be lifted up upon my sons, and do not let the evil spirits rule over them, Bianaki, unless they destroy them from the earth. Could we enter into that? But we understand that's actually a teaching to show us the destroyer, and how the demons will destroy you if you don't understand this. But Barak me, my sons, and let us grow and increase and fill the earth. He said, let us be fruitful and multiply. And you know that which your watchers, the fathers of these spirits, did in my days, and also these spirits who are alive, right, shut them up and take them to the place of judgment. And do not let them cause corruption among the sons of your servants, O my Elohim, because they are cruel. And they are created to what? The destroyer, to destroy you. It says, and let them not rule over the spirits of the living, because this is a ruach. Right? This is all about the ruach, man, the mental, spiritual faculty, your supernatural fire, your 7 near in your mind. Because you alone know their judgment, and do not let them have power over the children of the righteous, henceforth and forever. And people say, what you need to be praying for? Right? That word, like when we read the book of Exodus, it says, for Yahuwah will pass through and strike the Egyptians. The only reason we did that is I was going to show you beyond the king. But it says right here, it says, and when he sees the blood of the lintel on the 2 posts of the door, Yahuwah will pass over the door and will not allow the destroyer, the demons, to enter your house and strike you. That word for strike is nagaf. It means to push, to gore, to defeat, to stub, to beat, to dash, to hurt, to smite. He said, I won't allow the demons to strike you, right? Right, so this is Matthew 27:24-26. So when Pilate saw that he was gaining nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning because of the demons, because remember, this is on the 14th day before the sun went down on the 15th day. So the 15th day come in. So this is on the 14th day. Because the demons are getting ready, right? They're getting ready for Pesach. And they getting the early thing, right? But in the beginning, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, I am innocent of this man's blood. See it to yourselves. So, what did he just do? He dipped his hands in a bowl and washed his hands of the blood. You know, when you get a hyssop branch, you stick it in there. And guess what it says? And all the people answered, his blood be upon us and our children. Say what? His blood be upon us and our children. What did he just say? His blood be upon us and our children. What did he just say? He said, strike the blood on the doorway of your house. Strike the blood on the doorway of your house. What do you think? He said, be upon us and our children on the 2 doorposts. Let his blood be upon us and our children. That's why you got to have the blood on you. You think that statement right there literally showing you what Pesach is. You need to have the blood on you. His blood need to be on you and your children. in your mental, spiritual faculties of your mind. It has to be there. Then he released Barabbas, and having scourged, he delivered him to be crucified. For he the Lamb of Yahuwah, that you strike on the side 2 doorposts. Let the blood be upon us and our children over our households, to protect us from demons. That's what he was for. Right, this is Yuchanan 19, 1 through 11. Then Pilate took Yahusha and flogged him. They beat him. Then he said, and then what he said? And the soldiers twisted a crown of thorns and put it on his head and arrayed him in a purple robe. Who was Abraham was arrayed? Who was the man arrayed in purple robe? Ayuel, to protect him from Leviathan. To protect him from Leviathan, and they what? They came to him saying, "Hail, Malach Yatim," and they struck him in the head. What was the demons? He said, "Make sure you have this on the doorpost on your house, on the 2 side posts, that the destroyer don't come in and strike you." Look what it did to Yahusha. They came and struck him. They came in and struck him for you. And Pilate went out again and said, "Seeing I am bringing him out to you, that you may know that I find no guilt in him." He was a perfect sop, without spot or wrinkle. So Yahusha came out wearing a crown of thorns and a purple robe. He had a purple robe on, just like the man in the Malachi that Abraham met. Because he's trying to protect us from the Leviathan, the dragon. That's why he got that purple robe on. He's only doing this to keep back the destroyer from us. The Leviathan, the reptilian, Malach Rasha, the dragon and Mastama, and all their powers and the demons. That's what he's doing this for. And guess that? Pilate went out again and said to him, "See, I am bringing him out to you, that you may know that I find no guilt in him." So Yahusha came out wearing a crown of thorns and a purple robe. So Pilate said to them, "Behold the man." And when the chief priests and the officers saw him, they cried out, "Crucify him, crucify him." And when the Malachi said to him, with the purple robe, he said, "Abraham, Abraham." Then what Yahuwah said? He said, "Here I am." Pilate said to him, "Take him to yourselves and crucify him, for I find no guilt in him." The Yahudim answered him, "We have a law that according to the law he ought to die. Because he that committed adultery with a woman," he said, he don't even know that's for his life. He went straight into her house. Because there's a night of milk watching. It says, because he made himself the son of Yahuwah. And when Pilate heard this statement, he was even more afraid. And he entered the headquarters again and said to Yahusha, "Where are you from?" But Yahusha gave him no answer. He said, "I ain't answering you nothing. I ain't saying you nothing." He like a dumb lamb. He like a dumb ox to the slaughter. And get what he said. We have a law. He said, but Yahusha gave no answer. So Pilate said to him, "You will not speak to me? Do you not know that I have authority to release you and authority to crucify you? I got authority to say, hey, here you go, lamb. You can go back and be free. And I got authority to kill you." And Yahusha answered him, "You will have no authority over me at all unless it had been given to you from above." Because remember, what was the commandment for Yahuwah on the 10th day? To take a saw and set it apart. Because he had authority over him. He had authority over him. And then he told Nuach, he said, "The fear and the dread of you are going to be upon all the animals." Because he had authority over him. That's the only reason you got it. Because the fear and the dread of the animals is going to be upon you. The only reason you got authority over this lamb, because Yahuwah gave you that power to save you. That's the only reason, because he gave you on the 10th day, you're supposed to take a sock, and you're supposed to slay it on the 14th day. And it says right here, therefore he who delivered me over to you has the greatest sin. He said, he who took that lamb, the sock, and delivered me over to be crucified, they got greater sin than I do. Because he said, I'm going to remove the iniquity in one day. This is the book, remember Job chapter 41, it says, lay your hands on him. Remember the battle. You will not do it again. You see what they just did? They just struck him in the face. This is for Leviathan. He said, you ain't gonna do that again. Yahusha like, you ain't doing that again. I promise you when I come back here. Right? This is Matthew 32 through 36. As they went out, Matthew 27, 32 to 36, 27. As Matthew 27, 32 through 36. And as they went out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. They compelled this man to carry his cross. And when they came to the place called Golgotha, which is place of skull, they offered him wine to drink mixed with gall. But when he tasted it, he would not drink it. You know what he told Abraham? He said, I want you to fast. I won't even drink no wine. He said, don't even drink no wine. And get what it said. And when they had crucified him, they divided his garments among them by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him there. They sat there. And get what it said. And over his head they put a charge against him, which read, this is Yahusha, the Malach of the Yahudim. Then the two robbers who were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left, and those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads, saying, you who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the son of Yahuwah, come down from the cross. But it said, Job 41 and 6. He said, will the traders bargain over him? Will they divide him up among the merchants? Isn't that what he just did? This is Leviathan he's talking about. He's talking about Leviathan. Will they divide his garments? Will they divide him up? They did. They divided his garments. Verse 9 says, behold, the hope of man is false. And then what they say? This man said he's going to destroy the temple in 1 day and raise it up in 3 days. He said he was the son of Yahuwah. They said the hope of this man is false. They said he was a false person. He is laid low even at the sight of him. Say what? He is laid low even at the sight of him. What are they doing right there? They sitting down watching him. And amazingly, how you gonna see him? You gotta have your 7 year lit. But amazingly, Leviathan had a seal too, and he had fire too. And amazingly, he had the same iron ish lapid, the lamps burning too. Right. So Matthew 27:27. It says, then the soldiers and the governors took Yahusha in the governor's headquarters. And they gathered the whole battalion before him, and they stripped him and put on the scarlet robe. And then you take the purple hyssop branch, you put it in blood, and you strike it on the doorpost on the side post. Right? And twisting a crown of thorns, they put it on his head, and they put a reed in his right hand. Yucatan 19:2-5. And the soldiers twisted a crown of thorns and put it on his head and arrayed him in a purple robe. Because you gotta take the purple hyssop, dip it in the red blood, and strike it on the side of your post of your house. They came up to him saying, hail, Malach of the Yahudim, so beyond Keith won't come to you. And Mustama, and struck him with their hands. They hit him. He said, you won't do that again. I guarantee you that. Leviathan. Pilate went out again and said to them, see, I am bringing him out to you that you may know that I find no guilt in him. So Yahusha came wearing the crown of thorns and a purple robe, and Pilate said, behold the man. Job 41:13-14. Who can strip off his outer garment? Isn't that what they did? A Leviathan, of the dragon. Who would come near him with a bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? Then they hit him in the face, and they made blood come out. Around his teeth is terror, right? Right, this is Matthew 27:45-56. We almost finished, no? We almost 7. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over the land to the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried out with a loud voice, Aliyah, Aliyah, lama sabachthani, That is, my Elohim, why hast thou forsaken me? And some of the bystanders hearing it said, this man is calling for Aliyah. And one of them at once ran and took a sponge and filled with sour wine and put a reed and gave him to drink. But the other said, wait, let's see whether Yahoo will come and save him. Then he come and help the other people. But he said, I'm Yahshua. But he said, and Yahushua cried out again with a loud voice and yielded up the Ruach. Because the 6th hour is what? Midnight. If it's darkness over the land in the 6th hour, that's midnight. That's dark. It's nighttime. And he not in the house. So who you think this is crucifying him? Who you think out here? This is all the powers of Mastama and the demons and Bianakis. That's what this is. That's why he had darkness for 3 hours. He's literally showing you what was getting ready to happen when the 14th day at even would come in, when they go keep the Pesach, when they gotta keep it until the morning. He just did it all. He showed it all before that day even came in. So they can have this Ruach understanding, this spiritual understanding that, hey, this blood needs to be on you and your children. Matter of fact, put me in a purple robe and a red robe, dip it in blood and put it on the side post. Matter of fact, I'm coming to hold back the Leviathan too. That's why he actually is the Leviathan. I'm coming, and they put a purple robe, I'm coming to keep the attacks of Leviathan from you too. Just like he did Abraham. And the attacks of the reptiles, and the smooth speech, and the slithering of Satan, and the reptilians, and Malach Rasha. That's what he was doing. And guess what he said? And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks split. And the tombs also were opened, and many of the bodies of the Chdshim who were fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tomb, the resurrection, they went into the Qahalath city and appeared to many. And when the centurion and those who were with him, keeping watch over Yahushua, saw the earthquake, what took place, they were filled with awe and said, truly, this was the son of Yahuwah, Elohim. This is Yuchanan 19:31-34. And since it was a day of preparation, so that the bodies would not remain on the cross totality on the Shabbat, for the Shabbat was a high day. Because it was coming in the first day of Kagmatah. It's a Kudash convocation. He said, the Yahudim asked Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and of the other who had been crucified. But when they came to Yahushua, they saw that he was already dead. Because he had committed adultery with a woman, he said, you should not go unpunished. He didn't even know. When he went into her house, it was for his life. It was for his life. Didn't even know it. It was a night of much watching too. Why do you think they sat down and watched him there the whole time when he was on totality on the cross? It was a night of much watching. That's why it was dark from the 6th to the 9th hour. It was a night of much watching. And it says that when they came to Yahushua and saw that he was dead already, they did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and out once came blood and water. He said blood and water came out. Dam and Ma'im. Dam is blood. Water is Ma'im. That's how you spell Dam. Blood and water. Aydah. Amazing. This is the same blood you got to put on the side of your door and your house. And he said, I took care of the hyssop. I was a purple robe hyssop. And I was a blood too. I was a scarlet robe. So make sure you strike that on both sides of your door and on the top too. Make sure you put that on your house. In your mind. Make sure you do that. This is Yuchanan 6:54-58. Whosoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life. Because on Pesach, you're supposed to eat the lamb. And drink the blood. How you say? The wine. The grapes. And I will raise him up in the last day. On the last day. How you going to raise you up? He said, I'm going to raise you up. What did he do with Abraham? He was trembling on the ground. He said he took him by his right hand. He took him by the right hand and raised him up. He took him by the right hand and raised him up. For my flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. Whosoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me. So he said, you in me, and I in him. He said, you need to have it inside of you. So if you eat this and you understand this, it's inside of you. It's inside your mind. And by being inside of your mind, it's on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. As a matter of fact, it's written there that the demon, the Shadim, Bianaki, and all the powers of Mustama, and all of Satan and the dragon and the Leviathan and the Leviathan can't come near you. Even as he told Abraham, even as he told the children of Yasharal and Mizraim, it can't come near you because you understand it. And it says, as the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so whoever feeds on me, he also will live because of me. You're going to live. He said, if you feed on it, and don't leave nothing till the morning. He said, even this is like a premise of it. Don't leave nothing till the morning. He said, make sure you get it all in you. He said, why? This is the bread that came down from Shamayim. He said, I'm the Lakan. You know, he said, Daweh. He said, man, Ehud said, I cast it away. He said, man, look at all this burdens and vexation I have. He said, Daweh. He said, this food is loathsome to me because I got all this stuff. I ain't got no room. He said, man, get rid of your weights. He said, not like the bread your fathers ate and died. Whoever feeds on this bread will live forever. Your Ruach man, he said, your flesh is going to die. You're going to die. Your outer man perish. Your inward man is renewed day by day, year by year, near by near. Right? This is Luke 12:49. I came to cast fire on the earth, and I would that it was already kindled. And then he said that's a Leviathan. He said, man, out of his mouth come fire. He said, I wish it was already kindled. You know what he said about Yahushua? Yahushua said this. I came to cast fire on earth, and I would that it was already kindled. He's like, I wish it was already burning here. Remember Job 41:18-22. His sneezing flashes forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the dawn. Out of his mouth go flaming torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. Who do you think? He said, search the scriptures. Yahushua like, I fight fire with fire. He said, I destroyed death. And I beat Leviathan. You know how I beat Leviathan? Because I came to fulfill Leviathan. I'm literally showing you who I am. He said, I came to fulfill all the Torah. And I'm fulfilling it right here to destroy. And so you can understand how Leviathan attacks you. That's the only reason he did it. He's just showing us how Leviathan comes. Leviathan. And now you a watchman. Now you watching him. Out of his nostrils come forth smoke, and from the boiling pot, burning rushes. His breath is kindles coal, and that's what Yahuwah does. Remember, he said when he come back, his jealousy, he not going to hold back. His breath of fire is cold. His flame comes forth from his mouth. Come down from the cross, and we'll believe in you. Leviathan was not, he was flat. It was like coming fire coming out of his mouth, and his neck abides strength, and terror dances before him. Right? This is Ezekiel chapter 3, 16 through 19. And at the end of 7 days, the word of Yahuwah came to me. Same thing he did to Ezra, because he was eating flowers in the field. And he said, son of Adam, I have made you a watchman. Even the adulteress woman, she was a watchman up until a point. He said, I made you a watchman of the house of Yasharal. Whenever you hear a debar from my mouth, you shall give them warning from me. Why? Because you're a watchman. Hey, young man, young woman, hey, you don't need to go that way. Right? You're supposed to say something. If I say to the wicked, you shall surely die. You know what he said to Pasah? You're going to be surely cut off. I won't allow the destroyer to come in. But he says, and you give him no warning. You don't say nothing. You know how you be watching men, women, everybody watching. You probably looking out the window. That's like the woman on the ladder. I saw a person. And you guess what? You give him no warning nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way in order to save his life. You know what Yahushua was doing? He said, why do you think Yahushua was speaking? He was saving our life. From beyond the key. It says that wicked person shall die for his iniquity. But his blood I will require at your hand. Now you see why you a watchman. We all watchmen. He said this is a commandment for all Yasharah. And you know when we were watchmen, he said if you don't say nothing, he said you're going to require the blood on our hand. And amazingly, when they told us that his blood be on us and our children. Not even knowing. And they were supposed to save Yahushua's life. But they never did. They took Barabbas. They said, let his blood be upon us and our children. The men were innocent, and they knew it. And they didn't even say he was innocent. And they knew he was innocent. He said, let it be upon us and our children. He said, I require it at your hand. And amazingly, we needed that blood on us. We needed to say, you needed those people to say that, because we needed the blood on us. And it says, but if you warn the wicked that he does not turn from his wickedness or from his wicked way, he shall die for his iniquity. But you shall be delivered from have delivered your soul. That's why he said it. That's why the young man who committed adultery died. That's why they were both in the street, and the destroyer came into their body, and they both did what Satan said. And they both perished. You gotta be a watchman. Well, that word for watchman is safa. It means to look or about, to spy, to keep watch, to observe and watch. Peer, you know what it says? To peer into the distance. How you gonna do that? When you ain't got no your 7 near, your supernatural light ain't on, your supernatural fire, your torches, your 7 eyes ain't working. To lean forward. You know how you say you be on the top of the house, you be like, you gotta lean forward. To keep watch. And you look what they got right here. SP. Safa, and you see what they got. Now you see what they got. What they got people watching. No. They cut it on. SP. Watching. Not even knowing they're supposed to be out there watching. But guess what they doing? SP. Now, athletes exercise self-control in all things. I know it's going to go for some feathers right there, but Olive Kof 1, 13 through 19. Therefore, preparing your minds for action and being sober-minded. That's what he told Abraham. Then y'all fasted for the whole 21 days. Not telling you to do that, but it's just, if Yahuwah tells you to, right? And all these things are a part of just the life that you live, right? But it said right here, being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the con that will be brought to you at the revelation of Yahushua Mashiach. He said, this is the revelation of Yahushua Mashiach. As obedient children, do not be conformed to the passions of your former ignorance, when you are lacking sense. But as he who is called you is Qahalath, you shall be Qahalath in all your conduct. Since it is written, you shall be Qahalath, for I am Qahalath. I am perfect, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father and Shammai is perfect. If you call on him as Father who judges impartially according to each one's deeds, conduct yourselves with fear throughout the time of your exile. knowing that you were ransomed from your futile ways, inherited from your forefathers, not with perishable things, such as silver and gold, and lamb. You know, lamb is perishable, just like silver and gold is perishable. They can all wither away. But with the precious blood of Mashiach, like of a lamb without blemish or spot. That's why they said we found no fault in him. But that lamb that was blood that was sprinkled on you was actually with the purple robe and the scarlet. It was the blood you need to have on your house. That understanding needs to be in your mind. The hyssop dipped in blood out of the bowl. It needs to be in your consciousness. It's a lamb without spot or ring, just like a lamb, right? So this Qahalath just repeating what Yahushua said. This is Luke 12:35-40. Stay dressed for action. Who trained them? Keep your lamps burning, your near burning, your 7 eyes burning, and stay dressed for action. Be like a men or women who are waiting for their master to come home from the wedding feast, huh? You're supposed to be keeping watch over the house, so that they may open the door to him at once, and he comes in. When he comes in and knocks, because you know what's gonna happen if you leave your watch. Just like the woman was watching, and she left her watch, and she said, "I came out to meet you." She left her watch tower. She left her watch, and she went to commit adultery. And the young man was on the street, and she came out. "I came out to meet you too." And you know what happened? He said he's gonna lose everything in his house. And now imagine you being a watchman, supposed to watch over the house. Then you out here in somebody else's house committing adultery, and then somebody done broke in the house and took everything out the house, and now the master of the house coming back, and what you gonna be like? No, we don't need to go in right now because all the stuff gone. Because you weren't even watching. You were doing something else. And you know what he says? Barak are those servants whom the master finds awake when he comes. He's like, your near ain't go out. Truly I say to you, he will dress himself for service and have them recline at the table, and he will come and serve them. If he comes in the second watch or the third watch and finds the servant awake, Barak are those servants. You're going to come at midnight. You're going to come in the second watch leading toward midnight. You're going to be in that third watch at midnight all the way to like 3 a.m. If he comes in the second and third watch, he finds them awake, Barak are those servants. But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief was coming, he would have not left the house. He would not have left his house to be broken into. You also must be ready, for the son of Adam is coming in an hour you do not expect. Because your house get broken into, the destroyer Mastama coming in, and Yahushua like the same way. I'm gonna come in a time when you don't even expect me. You better stay awake the whole night. Whether you awake or whether you in your dream state, you need to be awake. Because he can implant things in your consciousness, and you wake up inflamed with a shadim, not even knowing that dream was planted in your mind. And he said, Qahalath said, Master, are you telling this parable for us or for all? Then he said, this commandment is for all Yasharal, that everybody be watched. All Yasharal. Didn't he say that? And Yahuwah said, who then is that faithful and wise manager whom his master will set over his household, to give them the portion of food at its proper time? He said, this is a commandment for all Yasharal. They should be dressed for action with their lamps burning. Barak is the servant whom his master will find so doing when he comes. It's for all Yasharal, this commandment. Truly I say to you, he will set him over his possessions. But if that servant says himself, my master has delayed his coming, and begins to beat the male and female servants, get to sleep with them too, commit adultery with them, steal their money, right? Not give to the poor, needy, pretend. They start beating people, beating with a reed over their head. Like they did me. You get inflamed with Mastama and all the powers of Mastama. You start beating people over the head with a reed. Because that's what they were really doing back in that day. And he started to beat the male and females. These people were actually beating people back in the day. It says to eat and drink and get drunk. over any dainty thing, excess, getting drunk. That's what Shaul told us. I ain't telling you to go out of the world, but if you have a brother or sister that's guilty of drunkenness, he said, don't even eat with him. He said, the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at that hour he does not know, and will cut him in pieces. Huh? Who was cut in pieces? And he will cut him in pieces. Who was cut in pieces? The woman who committed zina. The woman who committed adultery from the Levite. He said, and he will cut him in pieces and put him with the unfaithful. Amazing, he scattered it all through Yasharal, because there was no king in Yasharal during that time. And everyone did what was right in their own eyes, and he scattered that body to all the unfaithful Yasharal in the 12 tribes. And that servant who knew his master's will, but did not get ready, and acted according to his will, will receive a severe beating. He said, I'm going to beat your behind. But the one who did not know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating. That means you did it in ignorance. But if you know, he'd be like, man, do what I do. I said, you can't do it. I can't do what you do. He said, dude, I know too much. He's like, no, I can't do that. I apologize, but sorry, I can't go that far. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Why not? Because I know too much. I'm going to get a severe beating if I do that. You ever had a father, he said, oh, you already know that already. And you just get beat down. You ever had a beating like that? Shoot, you steal from the store, he said, I only get one beating. That's it. All right. That's it. I don't need no more. You do it again. Nope. Not doing it again. But the one who did not know will deserve a beating, but will receive a light beating. Everyone to whom much is given, of him much will be required. Your conduct. So if you get more knowledge and understanding your conduct and how you need to be Qahalath and everything, then you're going to be required to make sure you observe that conduct to the end. But if you don't, you're going to get a severe beating because you know. So I don't want no severe beating. People say, no, I know. So therefore, I can't do it. And you know what say you're going to do? As soon as you know you can't do something, he going to come with the whole powers and everybody try to get you to do it. That's all he's trying to do. I was like, man. He's like, yeah, you know that. I know you know that. So I'm going to send everything I got to get you to do opposite. So you can get a more beating, so I can have more power over you and I can beat your behind down. And from him to whom that is entrusted much, they will demand the more. It's the same thing. I know you've been entrusted with more intellect, more knowledge, more understanding, more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You've been entrusted with the understanding of it. So therefore, you are required, he said, I entrust, you are required, your conduct has to be even more than what it was before last year. You can't live a lesser life than what you already know. Because if you do, all the powers of Mastama are going to come at you and destroy you. That's why it's not good. He said, you want to listen to this video? You going to listen to the other ones too? Rest assured, you should, if you ain't planning on doing it, don't do it. It's not a, how you say? Something you just do. Once you hear it, and you understand it, and Yahuwah know you understand it. And it fell on good soil too, not on rocky places. And Satan ain't steal it out of your mind. Oh. Matthew 26, 40 through 41. And he came to his disciples and found them sleeping. And he said to Kaf, so you could not watch with me 1 hour? He said, man, we got people out here committing adultery. We got people out here walking in the streets, Passat. We got people out here doing stuff. You can't watch with me for 1 hour. Watch and pray. What did Nuach pray? He prayed against the demons. Don't destroy my grandsons. Didn't he say that? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. Like that young man was in the street and he's looking out the window like, this dude lacking sin. He can't even pray for 1 hour. Look at him. He already getting temptation. He already going into the woman's house. Boom, it's for his life. Boom, you dead. The Ruach is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak. So that's why when you start walking according to the flesh and you start doing this, you can't do it according to the flesh. You got to do it according to the Ruach. You do it according to the flesh, you're going to be entering into temptation. And you're going to find yourself in a situation that may be for your life. People say, yeah, your life might be in danger. Your physical life. You know how you walk according to the flesh? That means your physical life is in danger. Which means you can die, leave this earth, and you got to give an account for what you did in your body. Because your physical life is going to be in danger. That's why you don't want to walk according to the flesh. Because then you're going to put your life in danger by doing that. And your physical life will perish, and you will leave this place. That's why people die early. You say, why they die early? Because they walk according to the flesh. They didn't know it was for their life, though. But the thing they act, the deed they're getting ready to do. It's Luke or Yah 12:37-40. Barak are those servants whom the master finds awake when he comes. Truly I say to you, he will dress himself for service and have him recline at the table, and he will serve him. If he comes in the second and third watch, finds him awake, Barak are those servants. That's what he did here, and he found him asleep. You think Yahushua was saying they were Barak during this time when he was here? But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief was coming, he would have not left the house and be broken into. You also must be ready, for the son of Yahuwah is coming in a day you do not expect. And we just read it right there. He said, what y'all doing asleep for? He's on a day you don't even expect. This is the book of Aleph Yehukanan 1-24. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. And if what you heard from the beginning abides in you, then you too will abide in the Son and in the Father. The life of the house is strength of the house. That's the blood on the house. On the side post of the house. Let the blood be upon us and our children. That's the purple hyssop dipped in red blood on the side of the doorpost in the house. He said, let it be upon us and our children, on our household, our entranceway, and our gates. Why? And right there, Mazuna, right? And when you sneeze, make sure it's a good one. Because you're going to need, all your near are going to need to be lit, and your eyes going to need to be open. It said, and this is the promise he has made to us, eternal life. I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you, the smooth speech. Like the Leviathan, like Biana Keith, like Mastama, because they got smooth speech. He's on a long journey. Let us take our full of love. Smooth speech. It's okay. You can do that. Right? You can lie, fornicate, commit adultery. You can swindle. You can practice extortion. You can do all the things that people. You can do all the things that people don't have to eat with you during the festival. You can do it all. But the anointing you receive from him abides in you, and you have no need that anyone should teach you. These people are going to come with that smooth speech. Once you learn it, he said, once you know it, you are required to do a lot more. You give it much is required. So therefore, smooth speech coming. You already know. You don't need nobody teaching you again. So therefore, you know. So therefore, it went on good soil. So the smooth speech, to try to change it, you don't want to do that, because the smooth speech gonna mess you up. And you're gonna get a severe beat down, right? And then you're gonna be like, I was deceived again. Just like Yahushua say, take heed to yourself. Please. Let no man deceive you, so you won't get no big, severe beating. But as anointing and teaching you about everything, and it's true and no lie, just as it has taught you, abide in him. He's like, do it. And now, little children, abide in him. My son, my daughter, don't forget the commandment of your father and the teaching of your mother. So that when he appears, we may have confidence and not shrink from him in shame at his coming. You couldn't watch for 1 hour? You couldn't do this? You couldn't, when you saw something, you couldn't utter it and say, hey, that's wrong. You couldn't do that? You can't say nothing? He said, you're going to be ashamed when he comes. And when he comes, he's going to be jealous. He's real jealous too. And his eyes going to be flaming torches. And people think, man, Leviathan Satan blows out smoke and fire too, but Yahushua fire overcame something. No. It overcame them. And he sent his Malachi to keep back Leviathan, right? And we look at ourselves as those beings, that need Yahuwah help. Right? We look at ourselves, and we look at it this day, as Pesach approaches, as he gets closer and closer, you get your weapons ready. Knowing that we are living in this world, we are not of it. But as we live in this world, one's near 7 lamps need to be continually burning in their mental, spiritual mind. And with their supernatural fire on the 7 bowls, on the bowls on the left and the right, the 3 bowls on the left and the 3 bowls on the right and the 4 bowls in the middle. It need to be a one piece with a base, the yard. And you need to have your lamps, your near, continually burning, that your 7 eyes may be able to go through in and out the earth and be watched for Yahuwah Elohim, and also not for Yahuwah Elohim, but also for yourself, for your neighbor, for your family, for your wife, your children, for your husband, your father, your mother, your father, your neighbor, for your life. You got to watch for your own life. It could be for your life. The day you are in temptation, but Yahuwah always leave a way to escape. He left us the bar for us to escape, the knowledge you already have. Because you don't need no one that should teach you. No one should be able to sway you to do certain things. Some people say they will never do it. But in actuality, the people who say they will never do it usually be the people who will actually do it. Because even as Qahalath said, Yahuwah, I will never deny you. And usually when we say these things out of our mouth, but what we will never do, I will never steal. I will never commit adultery. I will never do that again. I will never deny you. You know how they say? But you'll be the very same person that will do it. And Yahuwah will do that for you, just like Qahalath did, to make you fall on your knees and make you weep. For you spoke rash out of your mouth, even as Aydah did. He said, my burdens and my vexation is like the sand of the sea. It is heavy, and you will find out who you really are. So it's better, he said, let your words be few in the sight of Yahuwah. For you are on the earth. Yahuwah is in the Shamayim, let your words be few. For we look at ourselves and look at our inward man, we look at our inward being, we look at our inner thoughts. We look at our 7 near, we look at our manure, we look at our inner being. For we go from our outer self to our inner self, and we judge what's within. So we can continually burn and be able to watch with Yahuwah. For the flesh is weak, and that's why we go to our inner man. Why? For strength. Through Yahushua Mashiach. So we live in this world we're not of it, and as we get closer and closer, we prepare our thoughts and our mind, even as this night, we watch. But at the same time, preparation for the watch time, that's remembrance, to teach us how to watch for the whole year. That we may be able to be lit and be understanding that who we are as Yahuwah's people, and we should understand why the powers of Mastama and Satan and Leviathan are held back from us. Not because of our own will and our own thoughts and our own strength, but by the blood of Yahushua Mashiach. By the blood of the hyssop dipped in blood and struck it on our side posts and on the top of our doors, right, in our threshing floor. Knowing that these things are a part of our life, we should live according to it. Not according to our own ways and our own thoughts, but follow the instructions. Not only the instructions when it comes to the things and the commandments, but understand it according to the Ruach. And by understanding according to the Ruach, it allows one to be enlightened within one's mind, that Satan can see that enlightenment, and he hate the light. But once your lamp burning and you understand it, Satan hate the light. Neither comes near the light, lest his deeds be reproved. Because you're going to come at him with fire. That's why he hates you. He hates the light in your mind. Because you're going to come out here with your 7 near Ayin Ish Lapid, and you're going to send fire at him, and he can't take it. And that's what's going to happen. That's why when you resist Satan, the only way you're going to resist Satan and he's going to flee from you is you got to send some fire at him with your Ayin. That rhymes, right? So we look at ourselves, we look at our inner man, we look at our inner being. And we love, he said, you got to love Yahuwah with all your heart, mind, soul, and being. For even as he said, blessed are the day who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Right? He said, blessed are they that hunger and thirst for righteousness. He said, Baraka are the peacemakers, the shalom makers, the shalom makers. And then he said also, Baraka are the meek. For the meek shall inherit the earth. He shall clothe the meek with salvation. The meek shall inherit the earth.